3 minutes. So when we go to public hearing. Oh, I didn't turn it on. Thank you. All right. Thank you. So yes, so we do have new microphones, the new technology that's here. So during the public comments portion, there is a button on the microphone. So if you press the button, it will illuminate, it will turn green. So just please make sure that you press the button so that it's green, so it's being recorded. We do have a full agenda, so asking that you keep your comments brief to 3 minutes. Thank you very much. I'm going to start with item number 1 on our agenda, which is a roll call. I'm going to start on my left-hand side.
Jamel Thompson.
Charles White.
Daryl Selsey.
Vivian Salmon.
Helene Kingdom.
Frank
Do we have any
Trolio.
other commissioners?
Frank Trolio.
Terrific, thank you. Frank Trolio, okay. Please let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. Item number 2, we are going to table the April 2nd, 2025 minutes until the June meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to table.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 3, these are administrative items. 3.1, I'm going to read it out. 3.1, Downtown and Transit Oriented Development District, or DTOD zoning, secret finding statement review. The City Council has referred a rezoning proposal to the Planning Board for a downtown transit oriented development, DTOD, as a potential new zoning district, which would involve both a zoning text amendment and a zoning map amendment. The board has been provided a findings statement for secret by City Council and the DTOD approval of resolution, which the board should review. 3.2, ordinance to amend chapter 267, zoning of the code of the city. That doesn't read right. Zoning code of the city of Mount Vernon to permit and regulate indoor amusement uses in CB LI-7.5 and I districts. The city of Mount Vernon has determined that it's in its best interest of the city and its residents to adopt an ordinance to amend chapter 267 zonings to permit regular indoor amusement uses in the city's CB commercial business LI 7.5, landscaped industrial and industrial zoning districts as a use allowed by a special permit. The board should review and provide feedback on the environmental assessment form EAF documents and proposed ordinance for this change. All right, the next item is a concept plan presentation that I'm going to ask for our Associate Commissioner of Planning, Lucas Herbert, to present to us. Okay, cool.
Well, let's bring the presentation up on the screen. I'll just give you a little bit of background. Just so the board is aware, we meet periodically with developers who have development concepts that they present to us, just to see, just for staff to look at their ideas and to vet them and see if they conform with zoning, or give them kind of guidance as to whether they should proceed with the application or consider changes or whatnot. So we met with a group. They had 3 different proposals. They were all very similar. And they asked us if we could just give you a brief presentation just to let you know what they are. All 3 of these will potentially come in as individual planning board applications, although none of them have been filed yet. So these are the 3 sites here. Everything is on the south side. You have 408, 412 South 7th Avenue over here. 345, 351 South 9th Avenue over here. And then closer to the train station, you have 113 Franklin Avenue. Next slide. So basically, the development objective is to develop these 3 vacant sites on the south side with new housing that is designed for home ownership, and to do so under the existing zone. So the first site is 408, 412 South 7th Avenue. This is a vacant site. It's comprised of 2 tax lots. It's approximately 10,000 square feet in size, so it's 100 by 100. It's a square. It's zoned RMF 6.75, and it's proposed to be developed with 6 one-family townhouses. Next slide. This is the site right here. It's a vacant site. You can see these are older pictures of the site, these little squares. It's been vacant for a long time. Next slide. This is an aerial view of the site, and the next slide. And this is the plan kind of superimposed over the area. Okay, next slide. This is what the elevation would look like. This is the front elevation here. This is the rear elevation, which is where the garages are. So you can see here that the driveway would go behind the townhouses. The driveway, the garage access is from the rear, and the front entrances of that housing are along the sidewalk. And then the next slide. This is just some pictures of what the properties adjacent to the site is. So the site is in the middle. This is what's to the left, and this is what's to the right, and then this is the elevation of what would be in the middle. These are just every townhouse would be the same configuration. The bottom level is the garage is in the rear. It says 2-car garage, but it looks like you could perhaps fit a third. Stairs that go up, and then on the next slide, I had to change the orientation to make it fit, but you kind of get the gist here. You have the living and dining room on the first floor, 1 bedroom in the back with a bathroom and a kitchen, and then the top floor has 2 bedrooms and another bathroom. So this, like I said, is designed to conform to zoning. The RMF 6.75 district has townhouse regulations. I just eyeballed it. I mean, this has not been vetted by the plan examiner, but basically it does check all the boxes for what would be permitted for a townhouse development in this district. But again, the plan examiner would have the final say about that. The next slide. Okay, moving on to the next site, 345, 351 South 9th Avenue. The site is almost the exact same size, 100 by 100. It's 4 tax lots this time instead of 2 tax lots. Yeah, but again, it's zoned RMF 6.75, and pretty much it's the same project as you just saw, 6 townhouses. So this is a picture of the site. As you can see here from these older pictures, it's been vacant for a while, although in 2007, there was I believe a 2-family house standing here. But it's been vacant for some time. This is an aerial of the site, and then the next slide shows you where the houses would go, townhouses would go. The next slide, again, this is what the street looks like. You've got some houses here to the left, multifamily building to the right, and then this would go in between. Again, this just eyeballing the plans. It checks all the boxes for what's permitted in the district for townhouses, but again, the plan examiner would confirm this. And then the final site is 113 Franklin Avenue. This one's going to be a little different. The site is a little bit kind of has a little panhandle here, so it's a square plus this little extra space. It's a vacant site. It's all 1 tax lot. It's 0.63 acres. This time it's proposed to be developed with 12 one-family townhouses. So the next slide shows the site. Now this is an abandoned building that was there. This has since been removed. And then the next slide will show the aerial with the plan superimposed on it. And as you can see, it's very close to the train station in this case. And it would basically be 2 blocks of 6 townhouses. These would kind of be designed kind of similar to like a brownstone with a brown color. The entrances to each house would actually be on this new interior roadway. So this is like a new roadway. I believe it would be a private road, but I'm not 100%. We'll go into the interior of the property. The garages would all be off of this road, but then each of these houses would have another entrance on the other side with like a little patio here facing the street. And the next slide. This is just what each house would look like. You know, it's again the garage with the 2 cars, a bedroom, living room, kitchen, foyer on the bottom floor, and then 4 bedrooms on the second. This is a corner lot, so you can see this is a picture taken. This is after the house has been removed. This is what the site looks like. And then just as a point of comparison, the applicant, when he came and met with us, he said, there's already another project under construction. This is on Second Street. This is similar to what the development would look like in the sense that it's 2 rows of townhouses, and you can see here where this car is parked. This is like the new driveway or street that we go between, and you can see that there's garages on both sides. So like the front of each unit is like on the street here, but the back is where you bring your car. So it's not the same development, but they recommended that, you know, I put a picture of this up just to kind of show you, because you can go look at this now, you can just drive over anytime. This is kind of the configuration that they're looking to do. And I believe that's the last slide. Oh, no. Oh, so I looked at this without the aid of a zoning chart. I looked at this. It looked like it would just eyeballing it, which again checked most of the boxes for the townhouse regulations in this district. But there are a couple of that I'm not sure the plan examiner would take a look at this for me before appear before this board. And with that, are there any questions?
A couple questions, and the garage, you say it was a 2-car tandem garage, what type of scenario?
Right, so the plans are not fully drawn out, but yeah, I mean, just looking at it, they would more or less be tandem. But these are for 1 family only. They're not 2-family houses. So in theory, everybody parking in that garage would be in the same family.
Right, well, the reason I'm also asking is because there's a good chance that there may be more than 1 car in the family.
Oh, for sure.
So just trying to see a way in which it wouldn't impact the neighborhood by taking up any existing spaces on the street. So if it were a 2-car garage, it probably would be better than a 1-car, because it doesn't look like we would really be able to park that second car in the driveway. I couldn't really make it out, but it looked like that
Right.
roadway looked kind of narrow, so it didn't look like you would be able to necessarily, you know, park a car there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that road that goes in between the 2 blocks, I don't think that's designed to have on-street parking. I think the garages are designed to have at least 2 spaces in a tandem configuration. But like you said, there's no, just because you build a 2-car garage, there's no guarantee that the homeowner
Right, no.
will use it they could use it to store things or, you know, have a gym or who knows? So yeah, there's no requirement that the residents who buy these units will park their cars in those garages.
Where did you say the sample place was on Second Avenue?
Yeah, I think it's a Second Avenue. I think it's over by Second Street by 6th or 7th Avenue. I went over there on my lunch break. It's not that far from City Hall. Yeah, if you just go down Second Street, you'll eventually, and go west, you'll eventually see it.
You said all 3 of these potential development sites are 10,000 square feet?
No, the first 2 sites were 10,000 square feet. This, the 113 Franklin site, that's 0.6 acres. So that's just over 20,000 square feet.
Oh, on the last side it said 10,000, so, okay.
Yeah,
Because it's only one side parking on that street with the 12 units.
yeah.
It's only parking on the right-hand side, it's not parking on the left-hand side.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
concerned about the parking over there because we already have residential parking
Yeah,
on the street.
Right.
Okay.
sure, absolutely.
Right. So the potential applicant, they own these 3 parcels?
Yes, yes. So it's a group of investors. But they're working together with Shaheen Badali. He's going to be the architect. So they're all kind of working together because they're, they just, and actually this is the group that also some of them were involved with the 165 Summit Avenue application as well.
Okay.
So, there's just people, there's like these lots that are vacant that people are buying in hopes of developing. And, they thought that maybe if they showed us 3 ideas at once, we just get a sense of what they were trying to do on more than one site. They want to do something that fits the vision, so that's why that's why they asked me to present this. If you have any issues or hesitations, please let us know. And we will convey that to them so that they don't appear with a project that you do not want.
Well, I think the last one that Commissioner Salmon just was talking about referencing was the parking. So, that would certainly be something, especially if you're only about to park on one side of the street,
Okay.
that is potentially problematic. No,
What would, so they would probably ask, what could they do? I mean, because if these are single family houses, what would you like to see to accommodate the parking?
one, I think that, whether they utilize additional, garage space or not, that you can park 2 cars,
Okay,
in the garage.
okay,
I think that is important. I can see it being very, getting very crowded there. If you have friends, family come visiting, coming to visit, where they park their cars also. So I think that, that's gonna certainly be a concern. And I think that the residents of the area will probably have a concern with the parking.
okay. So the parking is the primary concern? Like if I go back and say like we need to figure out a way to park.
Well, I think density is a problem.
Right.
Okay.
Because 12 houses on that street will be a lot. So I
Okay.
think, looking at reducing it in some sense, maybe not 12, maybe down to, 10 or 9, so that you can have their parking lot in their vicinity or within their area. Because the parking lot down the street is for the townhouses on the corner, which is 8 and 8, and that's 16. And we also have challenges of people parking in that parking lot, even though it's private spot property. So I'm concerned about density in that lot, because you only have one side parking. It's
Okay.
not, it's not alternate side street parking, it's just one side. So I am very concerned, so I think consideration to reduce it from 12 to maybe 9, so they can consider adding spaces in the back for wherever they.
Like surface parking, like a surface parking lot,
Friends,
okay.
family, and things of that nature, so we don't have a conflict of interest down the street.
What about the 2 smaller ones?
1 second.
Oh.
On that street.
Yes.
right, You're talking about the smaller street that goes down, not Franklin, right?
Correct.
Right, because on Franklin,
Mhm.
there's 2 sides of the street, right, and it's extremely narrow.
Yeah.
So. That means that the people that live there are not, they're gonna have to pick a side on what side of the street they're gonna park, because my concern is safety. How, that's 12 townhomes, right? So how are you gonna get fire trucks down that road with all, with all those people parking? And then when you talked about the strip down the middle, that strip goes into the back of someone's home.
Well, can you throw that since we. Would be the second to last slide. So you're saying that
Where, because where the strip is, where you're talking about the strip.
Go back.
That's.
Well, you can tell it from there, because where the strip is, it'll actually lead up at the church. The church, the white church on the corner,
Yes,
so
the
the
white church.
strip is gonna go to meet up at the church. That's next to it,
You mean this?
Yeah.
This road
Correct.
here?
Yes.
yeah.
Right, so there's a
Church is
house
gonna be on
right,
the left.
something's right here, a house is right here.
No, if you go in at the right and you go in, the church is to the left.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is like, you only have one egress, you're going in. And you gotta turn around to come back out, because there's no other way to get out.
Yeah, right, I see what you're saying. I mean, this is more just like a driveway, you drive in, then you go into your garage, then you
Right,
come out.
but then to go out, well, if it's an emergency, right?
Oh,
You only have one way in and one way out, how are you gonna get out the other side, because the church is there?
I see what you're saying. Okay,
Alright, and then to go to 7th Avenue.
Okay.
When you get there.
Well,
that's the first one.
just real quick with this project, I don't see any green space, the houses on top.
Oh,
of
no, the green space it has a shared rear yard.
Okay,
Yeah, so this shared rear yard for all 6 houses.
No, the 12 townhouses.
Oh, no, this is a 6 unit.
Yeah, I was talking about 12.
Yeah, go back to, so there actually is open space for them as well. It's in that, remember how I told you there was that panhandle to the site?
Okay,
It's in the panhandle. Because you can't build anything there.
Got
So that would be, it's like slide 25, 22. Oh, maybe up one or two. Yeah, right here. Okay, this is the, they actually have it labeled as a play area.
okay,
So I suppose like. You could program it with whatever you wanted. If there were a lot of kids in the development, they could put. A playground there, or they could leave it open.
So they highlighted that area for play area, because right next to that is a house.
Right,
Right next to that is like a house.
Right.
And there's another play area that's next to that house,
Mhm.
which is adjacent to the townhouses that are already there, so they're considering a play area. I just think it needs to be reconsidered. 12 is
Okay.
quite a bit for that
Okay.
particular area. And that's just my thoughts.
so the 12 unit one, the sense is it's too dense. The 6 unit ones, do you have that same feeling about those?
Um,
I have a
the-
question,
The
Chair.
townhouses, my subdivision's concerned. I'm gonna tell you why, because the space on Seventh Avenue, I grew up the street.
Okay.
And I think it was like late '70s, early '80s, there were already 6-row houses. That's why it's empty,
Oh,
because one caught fire and everybody was out,
oh,
so. But, this is what we're doing.
so you're saying that you would prefer, Okay. if not a townhouse. What should they have? Because they're proposing, they said that they were proposing the townhouses specifically so that they could be home ownership. They were worried that, because as this board sees, most of the proposals that you get for vacant lots are 2 or 3 family houses. Where, someone might own one half of the house, rent the other half out. Or they just rent the whole house out. These houses, they were designing them this way so that they could be owned by the individuals who live in them. That was their thinking.
But if you go on that block, everyone on that block owns their own home.
Okay,
The only like sort of apartment building is right on that corner, and I think there's 6 apartments in that building on the corner with the brick. That's right across the street, it's right on the corner of Fifth and Sanford.
Okay.
No, 5th, 7th and 5th. Right, yes, when you talk about density, like, if they did a 2 and a 2, it's separated or something. That's just me, I'm just.
So you want it
but,
detached?
Like I said, I remember there were row houses there when I was a kid, and one caught fire, everybody was out. And now you're putting it right back.
Okay.
The way it was. Excuse me.
Can we go back to the other slide where it had the 6, just wanna look at the density there on those.
this is one of them. This is the 7th Avenue site. The plans are very similar for both of the 6 townhouse projects.
Better than here.
Chair, I have a question. I have a question, if you could hear me down.
But yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, if you put up that Second Avenue project again that you showed us, like as an example. If you
Oh, the
could pull that
picture
up,
at the end.
yeah, see in between the 2 sites, where the cars parked in between, like where the driveways are. What is the required distance that you have to have between those 2 buildings? Because it seems kind of close to me. I mean, just for safety wise, in case of a fire, it can jump from one building to the other relatively quickly. I'm not sure, what that requirement is from between the two buildings where you have all those garages.
Will, if you go to the next slide, the requirement is on there. It is, where is it? They must be separated by a minimum of 18 feet. So I didn't go out and measure that, but, yeah, that would have to be shown on the plans, 18 feet in between the buildings. It's for that reason precisely.
Okay. That was my question.
Just sewage and stormwater, I think we have to account for also with these additional developments going on. If that's the case, with regard to flooding and especially this overall sewage capacity in that area, there's officially been issues, capacity issues already, so this development would likely exacerbate that out.
Well, I mean, that's something, that's a standard issue with every single development. So we put these in front of the Public Works Department to review.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, frankly, the Public Works Department just really signs off and says, they think it's adequate. I think that's got to be more done for, for a development of this scale and scope, to make sure that we're taking a bit of a deeper dive than we traditionally do with regards to sewage capacity and so on.
Correct.
Well, I can convey that to the applicant, in the sense that if they do come and present these, if they do move forward with these applications, they can come prepared with that a little bit more, perhaps do a little bit of that legwork before.
And to give some consideration in terms of, possibly reducing the size. As Commissioner Salmon pointed out, density.
The density or the size of the building?
Density.
Okay.
Density.
Okay.
And then, I mean, we don't need 12, I mean, maybe we can look at 6, 8, so that they can have parking available for their friends and family.
Okay.
This is a real big concern for me.
I think that's,
Thank you so much.
all right,
I really
Thank
appreciate this feedback. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, item number 4 is a contin.
If I could, before we go on to the public hearings,
Yes.
did you want to go back to 3.2 and give any comments back to the city council on the proposed zoning for the indoor amusement? I know you read the item into the agenda, didn't know if the planning board had any
Okay,
comments to offer back.
yeah, no, I wasn't sure whether or not wanted, feedback today or if it was something for us to, think about, but.
If the board is ready.
Yeah, I mean,
If not, then it could be next month also, it's good enough.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm comfortable, it's gonna be my opinion in terms of, looking at some of the neighboring municipalities in the area, so you're talking about. And I had mentioned yesterday during the work session, I don't know what is it Sky Zone that's in Rich Hill?
Correct.
Something like that, the trampoline parks, things of that nature for the kids, those types of facilities. I think that, it would be nice to have something like that within the city. For the kids, as opposed to always having to venture elsewhere. For recreational activities.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was my opinion as well, that we can look at the other neighboring municipalities, see what their current zoning laws are, kind of mirror those, because they have their rules in place already. So I know Bunkers has Sky Zone, and Rochelle has some similar, or had some similar developments.
And now Kisco has Grand Prix, and I think this,
Yeah,
so this
so
law,
far.
just so you all know, this was, to your point, it's a great comment, this draft legislation was modeled after other municipalities and what they've done, so we've already looked at that in preparing this draft for the council. Right.
Read this model and then
Improved.
yes.
Right, well, to that point, so let me explain what Lucas means, the improvement is the parking in particular, right? Lucas and the PCD was very careful to ensure that the planning board, that you all would have discretion on the parking that would be required on a use by use basis, right? We don't know what the different amusement uses would be. So depending upon the particular use, your board would have the flexibility to determine what the parking requirement is based upon a particular use. You're not boxed in with a specific ratio. So in that respect, Lucas is right. The legislation is before you all, and the council was approved to give you the flexibility to ascertain the parking on a case by case basis.
So I'd like to understand what area in that location are we talking about? Is it the full area or is it just a particular section of that area? And then my second question to you is, what is the listings? How many people are interested if you have that available? And then my third question to you, are there other areas in Mount Vernon that are being considered?
So, great question. The areas that are considered, it's the entire area within 3 different zoning districts. The CB commercial business, the LI 7.5 landscape industrial, and the I the industrial zoning district. So there's not specific sites within those districts. I mean, there are certain requirements. For example, a site can't be used in whole or part for residential. So any residential property in those districts would not qualify. But any site within those 3 districts would be eligible for the special permit. And then they would have to come to your board to apply for that special permit. I don't think we have a listing of, Lucas, how many sites would be eligible or how many folks have inquired. But I think what led to this was there were some inquiries for this type of use.
Okay, is that the target area that you're talking about upstairs? You know, we have Target, then you have that upstairs location. Is that one of the considered areas?
Lucas, you wanna-
Right. So it's our understanding that a Fun City, which is a like a trampoline park, parkour course type place. They have an existing operation in Syracuse. They are interested in the Bed Bath and Beyond space.
Okay, that's.
So that's good in the sense that it's already existing. There's that middle level of parking that I don't know has ever really been used. Every time I've gone over there, you either park on the top or the bottom, and the middle is like nobody. So there's plenty of parking, so that's a good situation. But we like the flexibility with the parking requirements because this can take any form. Like if you've ever been to one of these places that has like a go-kart track, it's like a lot of space. And not a lot of people can use it at the same time because they're all driving these go-karts. Or it could be something like a virtual reality arcade where they have these little booths and people go in, they put this headset on and they play some games. And that can squeeze into a small space. So it's really just dependent on the type of amusement that gets proposed. So we tried to write it with a flexibility to give this board the decision-making power to determine what the best parking ratio would be.
Okay, so that's that particular area. Thank you.
Right, that's exactly what we're looking at right now, yeah.
Thank you.
Then, what is that? Dave and Buster's.
Okay, so Dave and Buster's is more of a restaurant and an arcade. So the Fun City, my understanding with Fun City is that it's mostly like it's trampolines or it's like these like parkour courses where like kids like run on these, you know, and then they run and jump. And my son likes this stuff. It's like, I wouldn't do it. Like you swing on this thing. And yeah, it's for kids. But it's mostly, that's what Fun City is mostly. Yeah, I don't think they have like video arcades, but this zoning was written broadly enough to permit that. So if, let's say, another Dave and Buster's type operation wants to come to Mount Vernon, it could use this, this legislation would fit with that.
Some
If
of the other
they pick the,
Some of the other examples in the definition of amusement is bowling, go-karting, mini golf, batting cages, laser tag, climbing walls, trampolines, rope courses. So this is just one example of an operator that came within city of inquiry, but the definition is quite broad to account for any such type of indoor rec amusement type use.
So in terms of, I think that from listening to what fellow commissioners are saying is that we would look favorably upon, making a positive recommendation to the city council. It's like a nice golf simulator, type thing.
Yeah.
Golf, something like that. Because when you're looking at some of these locations in terms of, where it would be, located, you've got, Pelham, New Rochelle, some other areas also besides Mount Vernon. That would have, pretty easy access to, so. I think that some of these could really be, pretty fun, pretty exciting, so.
Just one of that, I'm generally supportive of it as well, but to me, it occasions a little bit of a different topic, which is. The development of some sort of infrastructure fund for applicants that come in here. And want to put these structures in the city. Instead of just developing that particular area that they're dealing with. There should be some type of fund that the city council could establish. That applicants could pay into to make improvements in and around the areas that they develop. Right, to assist with and aging and crumbling infrastructure in the city. So, and that should be incumbent upon any applicant to want to come in here to not just improve their site, but the kind of help out the city at large. So we've been talking about that for a while, but it hasn't been actualized by the city council. And I would strongly urge that that's something that we should consider as part of this. Thanks.
Has there been any feedback from the Department of Recreation on this in particular, or this is just a concept that we're talking about right here?
No, we have not gotten feedback from the Recreation Department.
Okay. Will it be proposed to them so that they can bring some feedback?
We can ask them, yeah,
Okay.
no problem. We still have time. The public hearing for the city council is not till May 14th.
Thank you.
I'll work with Lucas and James to convey those comments back to the city council.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, which is a continuation of public hearing, it's 4.1. Case PB 25 1896 South Columbus Avenue. Section 169.56, block 3133, lot 5 in the industrial district. Maria, everything has been noticed properly for all the applications, including this one? Correct, okay, all right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, how are you? All right, while you're setting up, the owner is Christopher Rooney of 896 South Columbus Avenue LLC, represented by Debbie Mori. Well, that's not that, but their lead design professional, the applicant is requesting a site plan approval to rehabilitate the existing 2-story manufacturing building into a storage facility. The existing windows will be blocked off to improve security and the building's thermal envelope. The subject property is 28,491 square feet located on South Columbus Avenue near South 3rd Avenue in the I industrial zone. The proposed subdivision is an unlisted action under SECR. The planning board declared lead agency at the April 2nd, 2025 planning board meeting. All set? Okay. Ready? Press the, yeah.
Good evening, thank you very much. My name is Emmanuel de Amor from
Just talk this.
the Forest Studio. We have Christopher Rooney also from the owner. So last meeting, we had a few concerns
I'm just gonna
regarding
ask you to just as,
regarding
yeah, you can hold it,
circulation.
speak, yeah, but we can't, we're having difficulty hearing.
Okay,
Thank
sorry.
you very much.
I think in the last hearing, we had a concern about circulation and the use operation mainly of the building. So a lot of those answers, I mean, we sent it in writing, but Chris is here also to answer. Obviously, the previous use of the building, it was a manufacturing facility. So the truck loading in and out, they were much more frequently and much larger than we anticipate. So this is usually, what do we say? It's a 28-foot trucks, right?
Was the tournament century?
I'm just gonna ask you this, hold on,
Yeah.
so we can hear you with the microphone.
It was a 28,000
Good evening,
square
and
foot.
I'm sorry, just your name for the record.
Chris Rooney.
Thank you.
I'm the owner of 896 South Columbus Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
It was a turn of the century industrial manufacturing building. I'm a 2nd generation moving company. My son is in the business. He's 3rd generation. And we needed more additional off-site storage for our clients. So I do residential household moving. And sometimes we need large space in the busier times of year. So basically I would have one truck, maybe one truck coming per day. And with a maximum of maybe 2 employees per day. As opposed to what it used to be was 24-hour round the clock tractor trailer service. I don't own tractor trailers. We all use 26-foot straight trucks and
All right, so you anticipate it would be one truck a day, possibly if it's very busy, two trucks a day?
that,
Okay,
maybe,
Okay.
if that.
okay,
And the loading dock is set back 40 feet where my trucks wouldn't even interfere getting, for what previous owner had for 60 years.
Also, I think I mentioned it before, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
he could confirm that the trucks won't be stored in this facility. That was another one of your concerns. So the property is only used for storage of the moving furnitures. The trucks won't be stored here.
Okay, so is that accurate, Mr. Rooney, that the truck won't be there?
100%. I'm based out of Queens.
Okay,
But we've grown a little bit, but all of my vehicles, I have maxed out. All my vehicles fit indoors in my Queens facility. I'm primarily a Manhattan-based mover. So my Queens facility is a lot closer to Manhattan.
right.
I don't park any vehicles up here, and nor do I have any indoor space to park them in Mount Vernon.
So the typical, I know it's hard to say, but what times do your trucks, would a truck potentially come into the facility? And I know, just kind of backing in, because you have to back into the loading dock.
Back into the loading dock.
What time would you say that would be? I know it's kind of hard to say, but give or take.
So we meet at 6 AM in Queens. If I send a truck up there, they'll be here at 7 AM. And they're gone before 3.
Okay.
Usually 2 o'clock. So we start early and finish early, try to beat the traffic on each end of it.
So everything that would be stored in the facility is going to come from Queens? Is that how it goes?
No, but it would come from the off-site places, people's homes, residences.
Okay.
I do high-end residential moving.
Okay, so
So-
if it were in Westchester.
If
you
they're
know, it
Westchester,
would
we
just
come directly
it
there.
would come- Okay,
But by the end of the day, it's too late for the guys to unload the trucks. So the trucks go back to Queens, and then the following morning,
okay,
they go up there, they unload the truck, maybe 2-3 hours, do a quick inventory, digital inventory, and then back to Queens.
Well, this is a holding space. really,
Correct,
For furniture or whatever you're doing. This
that's
is
correct.
not the regular city-eye storage where people keep coming.
I
in and
don't,
out.
I do not do self-storage.
Okay,
It's private storage.
this is the property here, correct?
That's correct.
Are you doing anything on the outside of this property to upgrade, or is it only just internal?
Yeah, mainly internal. I think we have planting on the strips here on the side of the building.
There was an existing planter next to the front door.
Right, so from what I'm seeing here, is there a possibility that we can consider doing some upgrades for the outside? Because the steps, around the steps in front of the property, is there any way that we can consider that?
Unfortunately, the picture shown, it's in the winter, so the plants are dead. But there are plants on that strip of, on the side of the stair over here.
so I guess the
Oh, yeah.
question is,
Yes.
the dead ones, would you replant, put
Yeah.
something?
Yes.
there? Okay,
Yeah.
And how about the steps? It looks a little bit like it's.
The step,
No?
no,
Like
the steps,
from this
the
picture
steps
I'm
are actually pavers.
Oh.
They're not concrete steps.
Oh, maybe I'm looking at the picture, okay.
Yeah.
The picture shows a little blurry, but they're in pretty good condition.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
let's see, maybe, I thought, maybe I'm looking at the pictures of a little bit, different, okay.
Yeah, I think you painted in, right, is that black?
Oh.
Black gray strip?
It's like a drake, yeah.
Right,
Doesn't look like it.
Very, very clean, very neat. I'm a type A guy.
Yeah, that's the old picture.
My been,
Okay,
it's an
okay.
upgrade, yeah,
Make sure, thank you. So upgrades for ambiance will be done,
correct.
okay.
I think last time, did we discuss making sure that stormwater, in terms of retention, that everything is kept there? Did you?
Correct.
Correct.
Everything,
Yeah, so-
everything's the same.
And we submitted the plumbing drawings to show that.
I have a quick, who's in charge? Who's it? Yeah. Or she?
I'm sorry, Lynn, can you just speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry, I was just asking about, I'm looking at the damage in the sidewalk, like, is that their responsibility or is that the city, like?
Looking at it.
Cause it's right in front.
Of the block. I don't know.
Okay, so I guess in terms of the sidewalk that is being referenced right now,
This application were to move forward, would you have an issue in terms of repairing the sidewalk?
Yeah. Yeah, we have black top the side of
Yeah.
it, like I built. So I have a party driveway
Okay,
Down the alley to the back,
Okay,
that my neighbor, is also another mover, he
Okay.
does much bigger work than me, or tractor trailers and stuff like that.
In the brick building?
In the blue big,
In the
That-
blue one?
the blue one to the right.
Next to it, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
And to the left is National Supplies, which is a massive distributor for building materials and stuff like that. I am the quietest guy on the whole
I
strip,
forget it's there.
and I have the nicest building there.
We across from the graveyard.
That's correct, it's quiet. And when they have function there, I let them park on my property.
Thank you.
so you'll be able to blacktop that?
Yeah.
Okay. Question about security and cameras. I did see one here or two here.
There's one over the loading dock,
Loading dock,
there's one on the alley,
alley,
there's three along the driveway,
okay,
and it's three covering the front, one for the front door and one in the middle covering both ends.
Do you have that on this plan? So I see you speaking. Oh, okay.
okay.
Panels.
So you have.
I also did the project on East Third Street and South Fulton Avenue. There was a five alarm fire through the corner,
Okay.
and I rehabbed the whole corner. It's the nicest corner in Mount Vernon.
Excuse me one second. These little ticks, are those sprinkler systems or is that?
Which drawing are you looking at? I'm sorry, on the bottom right? Oh, that's the demolition plan. Those are the existing columns that they stayed undisturbed.
Thank you.
You know.
And the security cameras do you have down for retention of the 60 days?
How long do you?
I think 2 months, yeah, 60 days.
Mhm.
All right. You're pretty sure that that's
No,
what, because that's something, okay.
Yeah.
I believe we have that on the memo.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to just
No, don't worry.
double checking, making sure. All right.
I have a live view feed on my phone as well.
Okay.
Is there a particular temperature that's needed for the storage of this particular building or,
There is,
you know,
there is. So I store high-end
high-end?
stuff. So it's not just climate control, it's humidity controlled also.
Okay,
All right, so the HVAC system it adds and subtracts water within as needed. All right, my humidity in the building is 45%. I have a camera on the thermostat that shows the temperature in the building and the humidity in the building.
okay. Thank you.
So I know you said the current stormwater retention system will remain in place. But do you know for sure that that's adequate for that particular facility or that I know you said there is no wasn't adding anything And you said it's fully functional, so are we sure that odor will be retained on the environment based upon what was there previously?
Well, so we had a civil, a mechanical engineer that worked on the set of drawings, again, for, oversizing the mechanical system and the plumbing. And I believe that's part of the package we submitted.
No, I
The
know, I read it.
previous tenant was Diplomatic. They were manufactured by it. They had a cooling tower. They had a cooling system that was hydropowered, or water powered. I'm flushing one toilet.
No, I'm just saying when it rains.
What a range, drain water. Yeah, we haven't changed anything. We haven't changed the drainage.
Right.
In fact, I had the drains cleaned out. I had the sewers, make sure that all the lines are clean and stuff like before I do it.
So all the water is retained on your property.
Correct.
No runoff. Okay.
No.
Right, I guess, and maybe I'm not saying it, and maybe we're not asking the question properly. We're saying that the water is being retained on the property. Where is the water going, the storm water? When it's raining, where is this water? How is it being held on the property? Where is it going? How is it being held? Are there chambers there, Coltech chambers? What's going on?
I don't recall seeing anything. I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, so water that's coming from the roof, coming down, things of that nature, where is it being held? It's not just running out into the.
I have trough drains in both the front and the rear
Okay.
of the building. Is that your question? I'm not fully
We're,
understanding.
we're just trying to figure out,
Are you asking for if I have I didn't install a new detention system,
okay,
if that's your question?
yeah, I guess my question really is, just wanting to be certain that when we have heavy rain, that the water is being retained on the property and that it's not going out into, the city streets. That it's being held there, that it's not going to flood the
It's
area.
not flooding. So we've had, since I bought the property, the gentleman who I bought it from leased back from me because he needed a year and a half to move his business out of there.
Okay. How long ago was that?
Probably 3 years now.
Okay,
And since that time, all the rains we've had, never had one issue. No back and never in the street, not flooding, zero.
okay,
My neighbor to the right of me who owns a National, and the gentleman to the left of me who's 888 South Columbus, who owns roadway moving. Never an issue. Never flooding. Yeah. We haven't changed.
oh, I thought you were,
We
okay,
haven't changed the roof line. We haven't added any more roof where that would, add more water to it or.
When it really rains down in that corner, like right on that 3 corner,
But I'm in
by
the,
the, yeah,
right, but
you're up a little further,
I'm in the middle of the block.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who owns National,
is
which
next
is-
door, yeah.
but that's the long, he's probably 300 feet down.
Mhm.
You're talking about by the Salvation Army. Salvation
Yeah,
Army
it
is
floods
across the
real
street.
bad over there.
Salvation Army is on the corner, right? Yes.
Okay. All right.
No, I have plowed on heavy snow days as a good neighbor. I have plowed my and then gone down there, but I've never had a buildup of ice down there either.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So internally, what are you exactly going to do inside? Is paint or what are your upgrades inside?
Yeah, I'm gonna paint the ceiling
It just-
and fix the floor and put some petitions up for organization and keep it
Okay.
neat.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not changing the sprinkler system. I put the LED lights in, a little more energy efficient. Motion sensors, this way, I'm not paying for the lights to be on and. Not exciting, I know, but.
Still good.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions, staff, council? At this time?
Any questions from you at this meeting?
All right. Still have Commissioner Trujillo on the line there.
I have no questions.
we got comments, from three city departments. Police department had no, well, they commented, they had no comments. Public Works Department, asked if, proposed development is expected to generate higher water usage than the prior use. No, probably not, right? No. Okay, and then, fire department had no comments. And there were no written public comments that were received.
All right, nothing from DPW?
What about Public Works, they asked that question about, the water usage.
Okay,
If the water usage was expected to be higher, then they wanted, mitigation measures taken.
okay. But they didn't have any stormwater.
They said that, if there was gonna be an increase in stormwater, then there would have to be, prior to connecting any lateral lines, the existing sewer system capacities must be calculated and compared with the post-development, demands. But from what I understand, you're not adding impervious surface to the site, correct? So there should really be no increase in stormwater runoff.
None. Any further questions? Well,
No further questions.
all right. I'll make a motion. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak in regards to this particular application? There is a three-minute timer. Please step forward if you would like to speak in regards to 896 South Columbus Avenue. Do we have anybody out? No? Okay, all right. With that being the case, I'm gonna make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, that we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Commissioner Trolley, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Aye.
You said aye?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, motion carries. We are closed.
Thank you very much.
Nope, no, go anywhere, don't go anywhere. Gonna make a motion that we ask for staff and council to prepare a resolution. An affirmative resolution in regards to this application that we can vote on in the June meeting.
Mr. Chairman, would you like to do the, you are now the lead agency, for this, matter under seeker, the 30 days has elapsed.
I don't think it's super.
You declared your intent to be lead agency, and you
Okay.
had to wait 30 days,
Thank
and that was last week, and now you're the lead agency.
Thank you, so yes, so, okay, we need to make a motion for that. All right, so motion that we, I guess assuming lead agency status. For a second to that,
Second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I can run through the part two of the short EAF.
Mhm.
11 questions. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Should I reread?
No,
2, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
No.
3, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
no,
4, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area?
no,
5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
no,
6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
7, 2 parts. Will the proposed action impact existing public/private water supplies?
No.
No.
And B, public/private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
No.
8, will the proposed action impair the quality or character of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
No.
No.
10, will the proposed action result in an increase for the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
And 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
No.
Okay, that completes part 2. And all the answers seem to be no or small impact, so if you wish, you can take a vote to declare a negative declaration. And after that, you can vote on the application.
Do you have any of the conditions of this stuff we talked about?
Yes, the 2 conditions I captured were sidewalk repair.
Right.
In the property, 60-day retention on security cameras.
Right.
I wasn't sure what you landed on regarding landscaping.
Right, so maybe we can just clarify that. In terms of the landscaping that's there, in terms of. What will you be doing to, it's dead now, so.
You're right, I think it's about 5 bushes, I intend to put no one in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the city, whether, it's an industrial area or residential area, we like to, kind of uplift it, as much as possible. So, if you could, put some plantings in that, would enhance the area, that would be wonderful. Okay, so I'm making a motion.
I'm sorry, so what was the decision regarding landscaping?
We'll be replanting on the existing strip.
Okay, replanting. All the existing. Landscaping. And we'll include the standard provisions of.
Right, so I guess in terms of that, which would be opposed if we made suggestions in terms of what, to plant there so that it would take.
Yeah, something hardy. Yeah.
All right. So.
Native and non-invasive.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion for staff and council to prepare the resolution, or for council and staff to prepare a resolution in the affirmative, and with the condition that there is going to be 60-day retention on the cameras, on the
DVR.
on the security cameras, correct? That the sidewalk will be repaired. Okay, and then you're gonna blacktop the driveway, correct? Okay,
Well, the picture that you showed,
Right.
the concrete is in good shape,
okay,
between the concrete and the curb. They
okay,
blacktopped it, and from trucks going all the way, it's torn up with salt and whatever.
all right. And then in terms of the landscaping, that they will be a hardy species, non-invasive. And
was the last one.
Native.
Native,
non-invasive,
non-invasive, okay,
maintained in a healthy growing condition.
okay. So is there a second to the motion for the resolution for the June meeting?
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
No.
No, okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, carries. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, also have a continuation of the public hearing. This is 4.2. Case PB 25 140 East Prospect Avenue. Section 165.63, block 1141, lots 9, 10, 11. In the Mount Vernon East TOD 1 zoning district. Good evening. Press the button for me, please, on the, gotcha.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Alexander with Alexander Development Group. We do have a presentation forthcoming, and so we'll plug that in right now. While we're here, I'll introduce the team. We've got Stuart Latz with Perkins Eastman joining us, Mark Alexander with Alexander Development Group, and Meredith Juliana with Langen Engineering, our civil engineer. And they're heading up our landscape design as well. So we're pretty excited. Oh, and we do have a few members that would like to join via Zoom. If you guys can facilitate that. Steve Rabel, our land use attorney. Okay, Mike Tucker, also from Langen. And we have Sarah Yeakel on the call from BFJ, our city planner. Okay. And so last time we were here, we gave you a pretty extensive presentation. The planning board and public had a multitude of comments and questions. Over the past month, we've worked with our team to address as many of those questions as we could as they were received. We did get some comments, within the last week. And, we scrambled together to get you the right answers that you needed. And we did submit those answers to you, I believe via email and in a formal memo. So you should have everything that was asked of the public answered at this time. And so we've got the building here. It's our most up-to-date rendering of the project. If you continue. And we're just going to run through. This is. Okay. And so this is just our agenda for the evening. The main thing that we'd like to focus on is what's new. What have we done that's new since we've last met with you? Like I said, we've hashed out a lot of these questions, and so we'd like to focus on, what have we done since we have talked with you last. And let's continue, please. And so these are a couple of more renderings. Going, and then finally, the newest thing that we have done is working on our landscaping. And so I'm going to turn it over to Meredith, who can walk you through that.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. As Nicholas said, I'm Meredith Juliana. I'm a landscape architect with Langen. So I get to talk to you about a few fun things tonight. The amenity deck design for the rooftop spaces. So starting off here, this slide, we're trying to, give an introduction here into the character of the spaces that we're designing. So we have this concept of immersive intensity is what we're calling it. So this is an idea that these planting spaces serve to create like niche spots throughout the amenity deck spaces. So we're providing a variety of different seating opportunities, gathering spaces that are all surrounded by planting on the outside and serve to kind of soften the edges of some of that hardscape that's on the rooftop. And then provide a variety of different spaces throughout. So if you go to the next page. So here you can see the full scope of all of the rooftop work. So this plan is actually showing the entirety of the rooftop spaces on multiple different levels. So it's really kind of a comprehensive overview of all of the different occupiable rooftops. On the left side of the screen here, you can see that that is really dominated by private terraces. So those are all private spaces that are connected to units. Those will be able to be designed as the tenant sees fit. They can add planting, add furnishings, all sorts of opportunities there. And each one of those spaces is divided by a planter with screening so that you don't have to be in your neighbor's, backyard party there. And then as you kind of see on the right-hand side, this side of the plan is showing both the 4th floor and the 21st floor. So the 4th floor kind of wraps around from left to right there where you see the green, and then coming down and around to the pool and up the side. And then the 21st floor is that interior space inside of that white line. So working from the kind of upper right corner on the 4th floor there and headed all the way down the page, what you see there is that those different planting areas are really encompassing different types of seating areas. So starting at that number 1 at the top, it's a little hard to read from here, but number 1 is up at the top on the right-hand corner there. And that is an open, a larger gathering space in that area. So thank you, that's perfect. So that is a little bit of a larger gathering space. So you have a work table that flexes into being a dining table for a slightly larger crowd. There's a grill in the corner and a fire pit. And that area is connected to the interior where there's a work lounge. So as you kind of head down the page south there, you see a few more of those niches that you also saw on the previous page. And those kind of space out and give a few different types of opportunities, flexible seating and such. And then as you come down towards the middle of that 4th floor, that's where the main entrance is into the 4th floor terrace. So what we have there is what we lovingly refer to as a grill and go station. That's a spot where you can kind of come out from your unit, you can grill up your dinner and you can head back inside, or there's a few flexible tables in that area. Then as you continue down outside of the pool, there's another gathering space there. Again, giving that idea of having a variety of different types of spaces. So there's another opportunity for grilling and gathering right outside the pool area. The pool is then fenced off and we'll have code compliant pools and fences in there with lounge seating and a variety of spaces there too. And then as you come around the number 6 on the big lawn area, that is an artificial turf and meant for a flex space that kind of, can flip back and forth between events or yoga classes. It's connected right outside of the interior yoga room as well. And then upstairs on the 21st floor, there is what we're kind of calling like a kitchen and living room space. So there is outdoor kitchen. There's an indoor-outdoor fire pit designed right now. And then a living space in the middle, again, giving that same idea, kind of carrying that same idea from the 4th floor up to the 21st floor. So lots of different opportunities for seating, viewing, and all kind of tucked into a lot of planting area. If you go to the next page, the other highlight we wanted to focus on today, in terms of the site design, is the site lighting. So we worked closely with Stuart and his team at Perkins to design the site lighting to be entirely building mounted. And so all of these light fixtures, they really are hard to see on there too, but all of the light fixtures are canopy fixtures, or they are building mounted fixtures. Those are the only 2 we have. There's no poles, nothing like that in the sidewalks or anything proposed, but we did manage to safely light the entirety of the sidewalk area. So we in the site lighting design world, we use IESNA, which is the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. It's a real mouthful. And that is our industry standard for design. So when we're looking at how to safely light a sidewalk in an area like this, we're following, to their recommendations. And in this type of area, type of lighting zone, their recommendation is an average of 1 to 2 foot candles in the sidewalk. What we're proposing here is actually 3.7 average in the sidewalk. And that's not taking into account right now any of the surrounding roadway lighting. So if, the lights went out in the city, you're still getting that. The highlighted numbers here are also just highlighting a few key locations. So there's doors, kind of corners highlighted where we wanted to really point out that you're getting that above average and above minimum light level along the sidewalk. And I understand that there was a few conversations about the safety levels here. So this is really what we were taking into account. And Nicholas will talk about the cameras that go along with that also.
Before you start, can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
So, do you mind, Jim? I'm sorry. Can you go back to page 1, the first page? Okay, so on the right-hand side, there's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You see that?
Yes.
That's community space.
Exactly, yes.
And so that community space is open for the building.
Yep.
Everybody can go into that area. So when you see number 5 and 4, that space is private space, or is it just community space as well?
Amenity space.
Yeah, amenity spaces as well, yep.
Then when we go to the 21st floor, that's community space as well?
Yes.
So now, what's the management or the monitoring of this space when we get overcrowded? Now I've got 21 floors and everybody wants to be able to be outside and have a good time, and et cetera, et cetera. Is there anything, if anything, in your protocol, or I guess, policy or whatever, to do that? That's the first question. And the second question is, how do you monitor these grills? Is that something that is propane, or, what type of grills?
So the first question is utilization of the space. Each space is rated for occupancy by the building department. So there's a sign that says the space can be occupied by no more than
X amount of people.
X number of people.
Good. Okay.
And management is trained to make sure that those rules are adhered to. There'll be a CCTV system throughout the building, not just we're going to focus tonight on the perimeter, because that's where the questions from the planning board were last week. But in addition to the cameras that are going to be focused on public safety on the perimeter of the site, there's, I think, 15 or there's more. There's many cameras throughout the building to ensure that there's safety within the building as well. So that's the answer to the first question. The second question is, these will be gas-fired grills. And again, they'll be monitored by the staff. Our experience at 42 Broad is people self-monitor. You show up with your hamburgers and you wait. Daryl's got his steak on the grill, Commissioner Celsi, but Chairman Celsi, but in the context of living in the building, it's Daryl, I hope. And Helene is there with her fish, and she's waiting for her fish. And I'm third, so I'm gonna wait patiently while you guys do your thing. That's how we've done it. It really does work well. And the other thing is, we made sure we have a significant, given the size and the expected population of the building, we actually have more grills than would typically be put in. We wanted to have extra grills to make sure they're not that expensive an amenity, and it's good to have a few extra ones so that you don't have to wait for Chairman Celsi to finish his.
Who cleans this?
Maintenance staff. Well, so we ask people to clean up after themselves, but maintenance staff regularly cleans the.
I'm just concerned about rodents.
No. We have no problems.
No,
No, not at all. We will not have a problem with that.
Okay.
And this is all outdoors anyway, so we're not, it's. Okay?
Third question I
Third
have,
question.
thank you so much. What was the name of the lantern that you were saying for the outside? What was that name? You said something?
I think I went to
Canopies.
the canopy
Canopy.
fixtures, yeah,
Okay,
there's
canopy.
canopy fixtures and then there's building mounted fixtures. A nicer kind of design next to the doors and above garages, things like that.
Did you provide us a picture of each one of those?
Yes, they are on the lighting details.
Okay.
And this
In
is
the
preliminary
submission.
designs, this is not final design.
Yes.
Yes.
How much the building is, solar powered, if any, and none?
No.
It's too, it doesn't have enough size, unused rooftop to be able.
Do any of the slides depict showing the lighting, just so that those in the audience can see the type of lighting that?
Yes, I think we have it. Yep, perfect. Thank you. You're on it. Yep, so the top left image here is just that recessed canopy fixture that I was saying, so it'll blend in with, it'll be inset into the canopy. The right hand fixture is what is proposed in the entrance of the garage. So that'll be kind of a strip light in the architectural detail in the garage.
Hanging from this.
Hanging from the ceiling also, yeah. And then if you scroll down on the page. These are the two building mounted fixtures. So the left-hand one will be kind of next to doors and the right-hand one is proposed above the entrance to the garage.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you. I think in terms of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so this is meant to illustrate, this is our process when we submit to a camera operator. This is what I will submit to them. And I'll show them, this is where I want the cameras. These are the amount that I want, and this is the direction that I want them facing. All of the cameras in this building on the perimeter will be high definition and wide angle cameras. So that we have a large breadth of viewing angle. This is my current takeoff on perimeter cameras. I'm assuming that the camera operator may want to tweak a couple of these and maybe add one or two more. And so I'm estimating we'll end up with anywhere from 10 to 15 exterior perimeter cameras. Within the building, I'm anticipating we're going to have at least an additional 25 to 35 cameras. So it's going to be a very highly monitored building. Part of the reason of that is because we have multiple amenity spaces on multiple levels in the building. And we want all of our amenity spaces to be monitored via camera. Now, I know the planning board has stressed on a 60-day retention for videography. I would respectfully push back, at least on our interior cameras, because storage for 60 days of over 40 cameras is a lot, and it can be quite expensive. And so standard is typically 30 days. All right.
I think that in terms of interior, that would be fine, but on exterior, we definitely would want the 60-day retention. All right, and that's just from a safety perspective, to be able to public safety to come and access it.
Okay, and then does anybody else have any questions about the cameras, and our process?
In terms of, quick question, in terms of the height of the cameras there, the reason I'm asking about the height, again, is from somebody not being able to, access and hit the cameras.
Yeah, so all of these cameras will be above the line of our ground floor windows. Okay, and then the camera, correct, which is probably above 12 feet. The only cameras that will be at around eye level are cameras that are to access the building through our either a Butterfly MX system or competing system. Their door access systems have built-in cameras to them, And so they'll monitor people as they walk in and out of the building and, record, your delivery man giving you your pizza or whatever. And then next, we're moving on to Stuart Lax with Perkins Eastman and some sustainability.
Nick. Chair, members of the board, Stuart Lax with Perkins Eastman. One of the questions, and I should sort of just step back and say, we've ordered tonight's presentation to follow the memo that our zoning attorney, Steve Rabel, issued to you as a bulleted list. So we've put this together to sort of expand upon these. One of your questions from last meeting were sustainability features. I won't read the list in this, but summarize it to say, we are designing the building with the intent to seek certification from the National Green Building Standard. It's, I think everybody is familiar with LEED as a sort of green building standard. We've found that the NGBS is a little bit more appropriate to multifamily residential. Similar goals in reducing the overall energy use. We also intend to design that we're going to go for certification under NGBS. We also intend to follow the precepts of Passive House, similar to what we did at 42 Broad Street, which involves designing a highly insulated exterior envelope, windows, the exterior walls, the roof, very insulated, very airtight, to again minimize the amount of mechanical heating and cooling needed and reduce the overall energy use of the building. So next slide, please. And then I would just sort of quickly cover, this is a preliminary construction staging plan. Once we engage a contractor, they'll have their own spin and preference on things. But I think the key takeaway is the green line represents a fence that would envelop the entire perimeter of the building, and that would be a high fence to keep people out and block anything. The blue boxes represent where the sidewalk would be relocated. We'd push the fence out to the curb lines at Prospect and Portugal Place to give the workers inside rooms to maneuver. The orange boxes, dashed boxes, represent 5 potential locations where a building crane would be, and we would be a movable crane that would move to different locations. There would have to be coordination with the police department in lane and traffic shutdowns when the crane would be moving. Just to cover, and I think we talked about this last month, we anticipate 24 months for construction. Next slide, please. And really these remaining 5 points don't have the pretty graphics, but just sort of the other things raised both in your memo to us and raised in questions. We submitted a copy of our April 2nd presentation. We submitted a copy of the 2021 streetscape improvements. Just to clarify the number of ADA parking spaces, there are 5. The calculation was in Mr. Rabel's memo. As well, there is a memo from ADG talking about both the flexibility to increase the number of parking spaces. I don't remember the exact number, I think 94, but it's again in the memo, it talks about that, as well as the sewer and water capacity. So next slide, that's really covers the items that you asked us to from last meeting. If there are any other questions for myself, Nicholas, or Meredith from the board.
I have a question. I
Sure.
apologize, I wasn't here last month.
Okay.
But, originally, when you proposed it a couple of years ago, you talked about a doorman and all that extra stuff. You guys still doing that?
Yes.
It's still gonna be?
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, this is a market rate, full service market rate building. And we'll have you visited 42 Broad? Have you been into the 42 Broad building? Okay, you're familiar with it. Okay, so this building will not have as large, the apartments will not be all as large as in 42 Broad, but the amenities and the ambiance of the building is intended to be just as nice as 42 Broad. So it's a luxury building, and the only difference is it's located next to the Mount Vernon East train station instead of the Fleet train station.
Thank you.
I have a question about the trash relinquishment. How, is it each floor going to have their own trash receptacle?
So,
Just so in the apartment, or is it something that's outside in the hallway, or how's that gonna?
outside in the hallway, and we typically locate it near the elevator shaft with the idea of someone going to work. They take their garbage, and there would be trash chute and recycling chute. Inside of a separate reference, right, there's a separate room, and that room is accessible for wheelchair and ADA, but inside are two shafts. And the resident would open the chute and drop the trash down, and at the base, at the ground floor is a trash collection room. And then there would be a garbage truck would come in on a regular schedule to collect everything that's been in there.
And maintenance will continue to keep that area clean.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about the floors where the trash is. 'Cause
Yeah,
everybody-
and on top of which we select materials for that refuse room that are easy to clean, easy to maintain, minimum of cracks and joints, so it's easy to wash down. There's a floor drain, it's tile floor.
I have a question on that. I know many years ago, some of the older buildings, they used to have incinerators.
Yes.
So,
No incinerator.
no, they don't, do they?
They don't do that anymore. There's various pollution controls for that.
Okay,
Just
a question, because I was just thinking about so many people and all that garbage, like.
Yeah.
Because her question's like, how do you?
Yeah,
handle all that?
and we'll defer to the trash collection experts. There's a certain schedule so that the trash is removed from the trash room at a certain frequency so that it doesn't build up.
Thank you.
What level of LEED certification are you looking to achieve?
Well, it's not LEED, it's NCG. NGBS, National Rebuilding Center. Yeah.
I heard that. How does that compare to?
So it's more.
It has similar bronze, silver, gold, platinum levels that ever increasing levels. We're still not sure. We aim to do above the minimum, but we don't know yet how far above the minimum.
What's the minimum in the NG?
Oh, I think it's similarly bronze to the LEED. Yeah, it uses.
Yeah, but so look, because another difference between NGDS and LEED is that LEED focuses a lot on the site, the walkability of the neighborhood, the amount of transportation in the neighborhood. It was originally geared to commercial buildings and thinking that we want commercial buildings to be located in walkable communities and transit-rich communities. And so a lot of the LEED rubric has to do with stuff like that. NGBS is a lot more focused on just energy. How energy efficient is your building? And because we're using standards and design ideas from Passive House, which is probably like the absolute most energy efficient buildings in the world are Passive House certified. We're gonna be somewhere between silver and a gold probably, and for NGBS, we'll be up there. We're not gonna be anywhere near the. So I just have a question about parking. So I know.
Yep.
You're gonna have some retail stores and things of that nature. People that would patronize these different retail stores where they have the ability to drive into the facility, use the spots, and some spaces, and there would be certain times that they have to leave so that the residents have access to it.
Yeah, so operationally, we have the experience of 42 Broad. Pro Park USA is the operator there. We think they've done a very good job. They've been very responsive to ownership, but they're also very responsive to the public. What we have done there is we've reserved the ground floor for convenience parking. So for somebody that's stopping in at Joe's Pizzeria up on Broad Street, they can park the car right across the street from Joe's, run across the street, grab their pizza, get their bite to eat, whatever, and then come back, pick up their car and leave very convenient. They don't have to take the elevator upstairs. I would expect we do something like that, reserve some of the spaces on the ground floor. Now, this doesn't have as much active retail as Broad Street and Grand Street in Fleetwood. There's no retail on Portugal Place at all. There's perhaps an operating, where Galitos used to be on the corner is a maybe, maybe operational restaurant. The nearest retail, other than the retail that's going to be in our building, is down several buildings down on Prospect Avenue towards Park. So really, the people that are going to want convenience parking for the retail are people using our own retail. In addition to just having a few spaces reserved, depending on the type of retail, we may do work out with the tenant where they have like a what's it called? Not a voucher system, a validation system. Thank you. A validation system. So, all of that really depends on who the tenants are. Thank you.
Who manages the tenants? How does that, I know you was about to sit down.
I'm happy to be here.
Who manages the tenants? Are there applications that come to you?
So no. So buildings at this level, this is considered a Class A multifamily building.
Okay.
So sort of the top of the heap. Class A buildings typically are owned by institutional investors. So we don't own the whole thing. We're going to have an investor come along with us. JP Morgan Investment Management is the institutional investor at 42 Broad. So somebody like that will have a piece of, a big piece of the ownership interest in this property.
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of folks, they insist on having top level management firms. And we would want it also, but just to give you a sense of the overall operation. So Bozzuto Management is one of the top tier managers in the country, managing Class A multifamily property. They're the managers of 42 Broad. My guess is they'll get the assignment here as well. We've had a very good working relationship with them, but if it's not them, it'll be somebody of that same caliber.
What type of retail do you anticipate going on the site?
Yeah, it's not a lot of retail. It's about 7,000 square feet, plus or minus, probably broken up into 3 different spaces of roughly 2,300 square feet apiece. On the corner, we'd certainly like to have some sort of like a coffee shop kind of a thing, for people coming, heading to the train station, getting off the train. Beyond that, it's really hard to know. Perhaps day spa or some sort of hair and nail salon. At 42 Broad, we have a School of Rock. And we have a pediatric dentist that's opening up in a couple of days. So please come by. They spent a lot of their money and blood, sweat, and tears to open up over there. We've had several inquiries from youth athletics type of programming. At 42 Broad, I don't have any announcements, so there's no official offer that we're ready to accept. But those are kinds of places. We had a golf, what do they call it? A driving range, a virtual driving range thing out there as a possibility for 42 Broad. So, there's a gamut of types of retail. The way we view it though, is it Commissioner? What chair? No, he's the chair. What are you guys?
We're commissioners.
Just commissioners. Commissioner White is we see the retail space as an additional amenity for residents. That's the way we look at it. We're going to be charging something on the order of magnitude of $50 a foot for a small apartment in this building. The retail might go for 30, 35. I have 245,000 rentable square feet of apartments and 7,000 rentable square feet of retail. So the retail is the tail. The dog is the residential. I want my residents to be happy. I want them to love living in this location. That's why we're creating amazing amenities. And so I view the retail as another opportunity to create amenity for our residents. And obviously the neighborhood as a whole, right? If I bring a really nice coffee shop to the corner, it's not just my residents that are going to be using that coffee shop. Every soul walking to the train station is going to be.
Yeah, so it sounds like we're happy in the same way. I guess ultimately what I'm saying is that the retail should be commensurate with.
That's right. That's right. You are not going to see a 99 cent steel store.
You will not see anything like that over my dead body.
And I'll hold you to it.
You can hold it to it. You can stomp on the last nail in the coffin if you want. No, there's no way we would rent anything.
Okay.
It's a Class A building. That would be, like, what's the message to the resident who's coming, the potential resident? What kind of a building, this is the kind of building that they're gonna spend $2,000 for a studio apartment?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions, in regards to the sewer service. I see from the environmental engineer that feel comfortable with the capacity of the pipes, the 8-inch line and the 12-inch. My question is, have the pipes actually been looked at? Have they been scoped? Has a camera gone in to see whether or not repairs or upgrades are needed?
Not at this point.
Okay. So, one of the things, obviously, is this is, a large scale development. We want to make sure that the capacity is there, and if they in fact do need to be upgraded to a certain degree, that that would be something that you would take care of.
Do you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, let me just address. So in terms of process, I'm not gonna speak to the investigation. That's Langen.
Right.
Can speak to that. But in terms of process, our experience at 42 Broad was, as we designed the building, we did those tests and came back with reports. In response to one of those reports, specifically with respect to the 8-inch sewer line, the DOB asked us to have 2 exit points for the sewage from the building, not 1. And so we designed the building to accommodate DOB's, and it wasn't actually even DOB, it was the county. And so that's gonna happen here as well. In addition, even past the design stage, when you actually go out and open the street and the inspectors come in and they see the conditions in the street, if they don't like what they see, they'll ask us to fix it. And so again, in 42 Broad's case, we had to put in a new doghouse that wasn't called for in the plan. Don't ask me what a doghouse is. It's a type of manhole. It's a square manhole, and with the specific, location for the inlet and the specific location for the outlet. And again, that was worked out with the county Department of Health and with the DOB when we actually opened up the street. So so you can, in effect, what I'm trying to ensure you is the studies to ensure that we're entering the system where we need to enter the system and that the capacity is there. Well, we're confident about capacity, but in terms of where we want to enter the system and the condition of the system, all of that will be addressed during both the planning process and the actual construction.
Don't go anywhere. So in regards to the stormwater plan as well, now we have not had.
6 foot, we have a 6-foot storm drain. You and I can walk it together.
We don't have the input from the city's engineer, or I guess the engineering firm that they would be using to calculate and make sure that.
Well, it's a 6 foot, it's literally, it's a 72-inch.
Right.
Storm water. I don't know, what is it?
Right.
It's big. It's way bigger than anything I've ever hooked up to in my life, but we're gonna hook up to it. But again, the design team will be, wherever they need to do camera work, they're gonna do the camera work. Because at the end of the day, we're not gonna get allowed to hook up to anything without showing this stuff, right? Westchester County Department of Health isn't gonna allow us to hook up to the sewer without all of these issues attested to and signed off by the engineers.
That makes total sense. Just a question for the engineers real quick. Where does the 110 gallons per day come from? What is that based on?
Mike, do you wanna?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, this is Mike Tucker from Langen. We estimated the sewage usage from the building, or the sewage generation from the building based on New York State Department of Health guidelines, they asked for design guidelines to use 110 gallons a day per bedroom. So we developed the total estimated sewer generation based on that, and it came out to be about 51,000 gallons a day from the building using the 467 bedrooms.
Yeah, okay, no, I'm clear now. I was just wondering where the 110 came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's per bedroom. So 2-bedroom units would have twice that, correct?
Then I had another question in regard to thank you for providing a preliminary construction staging. Obviously, more details would be needed and provided, prior to a building permit and once the contractor has been selected.
Correct. The contractor in as part of the plan review process and pulling the permit, it will have to sit down with DOB and work out with DOB what's going to be permissible, and also with public works, in terms of sidewalk closures and lane closures.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that the scoping and capacity issues are important for the existing sewer line, because there's a statement in here that says the remaining capacity of the 8-inch line, this is when you take out the 6.8% for peak capacity, is equivalent to approximately 6,500 bedrooms. If there is not appropriate flow in the existing sewer line and it's not checked, then this calculation really means nothing. It's just a guess.
Well, it wasn't. It's not necessarily a guess, but I hear what you're saying. This was done just based on. I'm sorry. This was done based on existing mapping and what we knew that we were contributing to it, and what the capacity of those existing lines were. We didn't have the benefit of.
But this presumes though that those existing lines are all in appropriate and good working order with no obstructions, cracks, all of those things.
You're correct. We didn't have the benefit of being able to video them prior to us coming up with this analysis. So you're correct. But as Mr. Alexander said, that's something that we are planning on doing and will do, and all the appropriate jurisdictions will probably make us do before we make that final connection.
Well, definitely, yeah. DOH, Westchester Department of Health, I guarantee you, will not allow us to connect to that sewer if it doesn't have the capacity. They're going to make sure. They're going to force us. If there's a collapse in the line or a break in the line or whatever that's near us, they're going to tell us to fix it. If it's not near us, if it's somewhere else 3 blocks away, they're going to tell the city, you want them to build their building, you got to fix your sewer. And obviously, we're going to be motivated to ask the mayor to help out.
We'll see the results from the test.
Right.
Another nail in the coffin. I'll hold you on that.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Council, any additional questions? Any questions?
I don't.
All right. Council on this side, any additional questions? Seth, any questions at this time?
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to note that we did get one written public comment. This was.
Well, I was gonna.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that later on.
Open it up for public
Yeah.
comments and then.
Let me know. I'll tell you then.
That's perfect. Commissioner?
I just wanted to ask, in the amenities plan, you showed the pool, but on the site plan, we didn't see anything related to equipment, drainage and irrigation would be showing that. It said pool as mainly on the. On the 4th floor.
Yeah, we have a swimming.
Yeah.
And you're asking where is the equipment for that gonna be?
Yeah, just show on the site plan just where the equipment, the drainage and irrigation, things like that. Especially since there are questions regarding impacts on sewers and so that.
Okay, Mike, can you answer the question as to where would we be locating the piping, I guess, piping and
Yeah.
drainage for the swimming pool?
Well, the swimming pool deck will have drains. That whole terrace area will have, floor drains, to capture any runoff that will get piped through the internal roof drain system and connected through the service lateral out to that 6-foot drain line that you referenced before. From a runoff standpoint, the pool equipment, I just don't think it's been designed at this point where that would end up.
Yeah,
being.
we have not done the full design of the pool and the associated pool equipment. The pool equipment room will be below in the garage. And I don't remember all the details, but the County Department of Health requires that the pool water and the pool deck, so it's about 5 feet around the pool deck, is kept separate from the storm line that would be the rest of the deck. I don't know if that adequately answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to turn it over to the public. If there's anyone here that would like to speak in regards to the application before us right now, which is 140 East Prospect Avenue, please come forward and state your name. If not, I'm going to go back over to our Assistant Commissioner. Anyone here who'd like to speak in regards to? Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Hi, my name is Julie Worthy. I live in the neighborhood across the street from the proposed development. And I was at the last hearing. And I hear that the city is definitely supportive of this project. And as I've been speaking to my neighbors, we're trying to be as optimistic as the city is about this project. However, my neighbors have expressed to me, of course, their concerns about what life is going to be like in the neighborhood for the 24 months, is that what I heard, of the planned construction, and are asking that they have the opportunity to bring any immediate issues, things that may not have been anticipated, that there is someone with this project that will be in communication with the community, with the neighbors who will be directly impacted. The other question that my neighbors have asked is, as I understood, the construction vehicles are going to be using the Portugal Place backing into that street to get to the construction sites. My question is, what is that going to do to our ability to get to the train station? That is the walkway, that is the way people get to the New York side. And we'd want to be sure that we would continue to have that access, that it would not be interrupted or obstructed and affect our commutes. The other concern that neighbors have, again, is the number of parking spaces allotted to this project going to be sufficient. Parking is horrendous in our neighborhood and expensive. So anything that is going to impact that, was our cost to be higher, of course, we're concerned about that. And the safety, of course, a major construction project is going to attract nefarious individuals who want to take advantage of those spaces. And we want the rest of the neighborhood to be safe while this is going on, because it is going to be, I guess, like an attractive nuisance situation. Again, one final point I wanted to make, and I've actually discussed that previously with the Alexander Group, is the possibility for a community project that would benefit our neighbors, our citizens of Mount Vernon, And the possibility of using some of the commercial space to house permanently, or if not permanently, for a period of time, a children's library. It would allow our older, over 100 years old, infrastructure to have space and time to be renovated. And I think that it would be a very attractive feature for the neighborhood. I understand that this building is not intended to be for families with children. However, the neighborhood would certainly get some benefit if there was a way to collaborate with the Mount Vernon Public Library and create children's space within the commercial area that is envisioned. I understand it's not large. However, I have seen beautiful, attractive, well-used children's spaces in relatively small areas. And so I just like that as you consider benefits to the community, that might be something that the commissioners would take into consideration, and that would definitely increase the enthusiasm of the neighborhood for the huge project that's coming. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Worthy. Gonna ask Mr. Alexander, in terms of some of the questions that Ms. Worthy had in regards to, I'll start with first the access to the Mount Vernon East train stations.
That's gonna be tough. That's gonna be a tough one on Portugal Place. And it's probably we're probably gonna have to overflow to Rich Avenue, which is 1 block over. Because Portugal Place doesn't have sidewalk capacity. It has a 4-foot wide sidewalk on our side of the street and no sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. And so, and we can't do this project without closing down our sidewalk. And so, you know, yes, we can have some sort of a pedestrian way outside the fence that's marked off with barricades and so forth, like we did at 42 Broad, and which is sort of typical in large scale projects like this. But there isn't going to be no impact there. There's no way to avoid some impact there. And it's going to be tough during the 24 months. When we're done, we're going to have a much wider sidewalk. Okay, so what Nicholas is pointing out is that once the skin of the building is up, then there is the potential of bringing the sidewalk back at that point, but that's a year in. And it's not something that I can like promise. It's something we can work out with the building, with the contractor once he's identified how he's going to stage the project, but it's way too early for me to commit to anything other than, you know, we understand the issue and we recognize that it's a burden on the community.
I think you addressed it because you mentioned the whole Portugal place won't be closed, a whole street. It would be a portion that the residents can still use, so it will be a way to.
There'll be a way. It's just going to be walking in the bed of the street with a barricade next to you.
So there's a bus route.
It is a bus route. There's a lot going on Portugal Place. It's not. This is.
I just want Ms. Worthy to just, to understand, because I think that it was a little conflicting right there. There will be access on Portugal Place to walk to the train. There's going to be somewhat of a barricade that would be set up if this moves forward, but you would be able to pedestrian access to the train. So
that's going to be the duration and construction. And after that, back to.
Correct. And
well, after that, it'll be better. After that, it's going to be much wider.
Sidewalk.
So do you anticipate that the period where there will be no access because of the construction?
For hours at a time? Yeah, because I mean, if we're loading the building through that area, then you're gonna have flagmen, people.
Right, so what we're getting is that there will be some disruption, but hopefully they'll be cognizant of the fact that that the residents that live in the immediate area that access the Mount Vernon East train station, that they do need to be able to, you know, have a safe walk. Right.
As relevant as possible. And we, you know, I mean, we were going back and forth, so.
No, understandable, and I think that it certainly would be a reasonable request, again, if this were to move forward, that there would be adequate lighting there, so that there would be safety walking and that issue. Safety for them as well, they're building, they have materials of that nature, but, you know, more importantly for the pedestrians that live in the area that are walking to and from the train.
And what we can do, what we can offer up is, and Nicholas has been very community minded since we bought the property several years ago. He knows our next door, you know, the Lowe family that's right next door to us. He's, you know, worked out deals with folks to park their cars in our backyards and that sort of thing. And so he'll maintain relations with folks. And what we can offer up is, when we get closer to construction start and the contractor's on board and we have a site safety plan in place, we can meet with the community and walk them through what that's going to look like, both in terms of lighting, in terms of CCTV cameras, and so on. You know, so construction has gotten a lot more sophisticated in the last few years, and the contractor that we're currently talking to about doing this job has very sophisticated operation.
And I think that, and again, if this application were to move forward, you know, what Ms. Worthy was indicating was having a liaison, so I don't know if you want to point Nick. your
That's
son,
Nick.
Right.
Yeah, I am pointing to
Okay,
Nick.
all right.
Let him have a nail in the coffin.
So that the community at large would know, you know, who to, you know, have a phone number or be able to access, have communication. All right, so.
And I believe they've already been in
I think that's important.
communication with Nicholas. Yeah.
All right.
And,
I think that's important.
but there were a couple of other questions, Chair Celsi, if you would like me to address those.
Let's see, and again, I mean, if there were something, I don't know whether or not there was an ask in terms of if there was something that could be done during renovation. Was it renovation of the library?
No. She was saying, no. She had discussed this with Nicholas previously.
Okay.
The notion of perhaps having a little storefront library in the building, taking up a small piece of the retail space.
Okay.
I can't promise that.
Right.
What I can tell you is that when I was a little boy growing up in East Harlem, I used to visit a place called East Harlem Tutorial, which at the time, this is back in the 1960s, was a little storefront with a library in the window. And I learned to read. I didn't learn to read until I was in second grade, but I learned to read in part going to East Harlem Tutorial. East Harlem Tutorial is now a multi-million-dollar organization and has a huge facility pretty much in the same location, 2nd Avenue and 105th Street. So I am sensitive to those needs of a community. I myself benefited from a storefront library when I was a child. I think it's a wonderful idea. I can also say one of our residents at 42 Broad is a restaurateur who owns a coffee shop, neighborhood coffee shop in Harlem. And his coffee shop has a children's corner, a play corner, and a reading wall in his coffee shop. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's a lovely idea. We'll work with it. I can't promise more than goodwill right now, but we'll work with it.
All right, I'd like to know if there's anybody else from the public that would like to, yes, sir, please come forward. Good evening.
Vince Ferrandino, 45 Parkway West, Mount Vernon, New York. Chairman and members of the planning board, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm submitting these comments to you for the record as both a city resident and professional planner in your review of the site plan for the proposed 140 East Prospect Avenue MVE Tower project currently before your board. A prior commitment precluded me from attending and commenting on this project at the April 2nd public hearing. First, let me say that I objected to the procedure followed by the city council in amending the Mount Vernon zoning code to permit a new Mount Vernon TOD-1 zone drafted by the applicant, the Alexander Development Group, and tailor-made by that organization as the precursor to their development on the site. I've emailed Lucas Herbert the comments I submitted to the council and the peer review my firm undertook, outlining the deficiencies therein, including our review of the applicant's parking and traffic studies, shadow studies, and economic impact analysis, among others, all of which were, of course, ignored by the city council. Many of those comments are pertinent to the plans before you this evening, and I resubmit them to you for the written record at tonight's continued hearing. I just want to give this to Chairman Kelsey. And I know that based upon my conversations with Lucas this afternoon, he did forward you the comments. So you have them. You don't need to follow along. I'll be as quick as I can be. Second, we're at the site plan review stage for the site-specific development. That's the cornerstone of that rezoning by the city council. I'll limit my remarks to the building that is proposed. I have 4 comments and questions. 1, I admire the applicant's intent to build market rate housing on this site without benefit of any tax abatement or subsidies, and wish them well in that endeavor. I admire the design proposed by the applicant's architects, Perkins Eastman, with whom I've worked on other projects, and the efficiencies being built into the proposed building. I also commend the off-site improvements to Portugal Place and other nearby locations, as outlined in BFJ Planning's 2021 neighborhood plan as proposed by the applicant. The on and off-site security measures, green building protocols, sustainability standards, etc., in return for the density bonus they are receiving to build 21 stories. However, as I've contended from day one, I believe that the building at 21 stories is too tall, too dense, and without sufficient on-site parking to make it succeed. In addition, while the building is well designed, it is totally out of character with the surrounding neighborhood in height, scale, bulk, and depth, and will cast shadows on the surrounding area to the detriment of the people living and working there. This is actually documented in BFJ's streetscape plan, which they submitted to you for this meeting, wherein they show typical low-rise, row house, and Tudor-style 6-story buildings throughout the neighborhood. In effect, the project is akin to squeezing a square peg into a round hole. Number 2, the applicant claims that development will be luxury or market rate, but has not specifically defined what that is, while also not breaking out other fees for parking. Absent a bona fide market study, it is impossible to tell whether there is in fact a market at the site for what the applicant wants to build. I ask that the planning board require that a professional market study be submitted as part of this site plan review to validate that. My question is, if and when the project is built, will market rate tenants come? What starts out as luxury or market rate can turn into something else. At 42 Broad in Fleetwood, the applicant did at my behest as the city's planning consultant, in fact, submit a market study. There's no reason why one should not be prepared now. Also in that regard, since there is broad consensus that market rate housing is acceptable, should there be a demand for it, I would recommend as a condition of site plan approval that the applicant make every effort to rent the building as such, and if that cannot be occasioned and rents are something less than market rate, that the applicant return to the planning board for reconsideration for site plan approval. Almost the entire basis for the city council fast-tracking this project, fast-tracking the rezoning, and bringing it to you this evening was the fact that he was going to build market rate, which is something I think we would all like to see. And believe it or not, I would really like to see this project succeed. But I have some serious questions about the market. And if I were the developer taking the great risk that he's taking, I would want to have my own market study. He may have his own market study, and it may be proprietary. But I'm saying to you as a planning board, as part of the site plan review, that market study, or certainly certain sections of that market study should be submitted to convince all of us that there is in fact a market at the rents he's going to charge. Number three, at the April 2nd hearing, several members expressed deep concern. I'm moving as quickly as I can, Darryl, but I have some substantive comments that I want to get into the record. I only have another 2 or 3 minutes, so if you could bear with me, I'd appreciate it. At the April 2nd hearing, several neighbors expressed concern that on-site parking was grossly inadequate. Building 350 units plus on-site retail with only 201 on-site spaces at the parking ratios proposed, and even with valet and/or mechanical stackers, will not work, either for the neighbors or for the developer, who at the end of the day has to rent units to make a profit. Spillover parking on the street, already a problem, will cause congestion, air pollution, and inconvenience for people living and working on East Prospect and surrounding streets. And you heard some of that at the April 2nd hearing. Coupled with a traffic study that did not analyze a sufficient number of intersections, parking will be a major issue, regardless of the fact that this project is a transit-oriented development. We must remember that despite the development's proximity to the Mount Vernon East Rail Station, this is still Westchester County, where people have one or more cars per family, plus visitors and shopping who may also drive. It is recommended that the parking ratios of at least one space per dwelling unit be considered, and/or that the number of dwelling units be reduced proportionally. Finally, the Downtown Vision Report, adopted by the City Council in January of last year, is claimed to be the justification for permitting the proposed building's height, bulk, density, and parking. That report, woefully inadequate in my opinion, and not in keeping with what the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee recommended, is only an interim report, and not what may appear in the final comprehensive plan, now in process for almost 3 years. To approve a site plan based upon those parameters, which are clearly at variance with the surrounding neighborhood, would, in my opinion, be short-sighted and premature. Therefore, I would respectfully recommend that any site plan approvals for this development and any other downtown developments that come before you be deferred until such time as the final comprehensive plan and zoning are fully adopted. Please take my concerns and recommendations into account, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to comment. I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Alexander. Yes. If you could, because I noticed that part of like the submission, we talked about stackers. And how many more spaces those stackers add.
Yes, so I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I did submit a diagram, a preliminary diagram. I had further conversation with our parking operator, one of the regional parking executives, I guess, from their company. And he let me know that to increase capacity, their first move would be to install triple stackers on the entire bottom floor. So that entire bottom floor, they think, can get decked out in triple stackers. And so on here, I believe I had the ground floor could add an additional 80 spaces. He said no, it could add even more than that. So I would anticipate over 95, 96 spaces on the ground floor. As they continue to operate in a valet system, they would be able to utilize other areas within the garage as they're transitioned away from shared parking. They'd be able to use one lane of parking rather than the two that are provided for a shared parking situation.
Okay, so approximately with the stackers and the valet shared parking, how many spaces do you think?
Over 120.
No, in totality in the building.
In totality, over 130, over 340. And that's a conservative estimate. That was my conservative estimate of over 340.
Got a nail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Okay. We had talked,
in
Yeah, no, we
regards
can
to-
expand the capacity
and-
very, very
about parking
before, and so
Yes.
that's why I wanted to find out a little bit more about the Stacker. So thank you for sharing that information with
so-
us. Well,
So reading that report, I know you said that was kind of like a plan B. Is that basically you're saying that's gonna be a plan A where you're gonna put those three?
No.
Okay.
Plan A is to operate this garage as as a shared garage, open to the public
Right.
and open to the residents. As our parking operator determines that we have met capacity or are going to exceed capacity, then we will invest in new equipment to increase the capacity of the garage.
And what is that time frame or duration that you anticipate having that type of study before you will make that potential change?
It'll be as they operate, and as the building rents up. And so, rent up is probably gonna take anywhere from 20 to 24 months. And so after the building is complete, it'll be another 2 years, probably till we are anywhere close to the full capacity of the garage, unless the public comes in surging, and buying many permits for monthly parking.
Only reason why I ask, because, just in case, to your point, blue skies, everything's
Mhm.
good, lease up quickly. We want you to be able to pivot quickly in
Yes.
case it comes to exacerbate a
If the
problem.
demand is there, we're gonna meet the
We
demand.
want to meet the demand.
It's business opportunity, right? So yeah, we'll meet the demand as it, look, again, as Nick was saying, it's hard to predict. When we planned out 42 Broad's garage and we had a valet, we have in place, in fact, a valet plan for 42 Broad, but we haven't had to affect it yet. But when we initially put that plan together, Pro Parking, we anticipated needing to shift to valet within about 6 months of opening up the building. Well, the building opened up a year and a half ago. And we still haven't had to go to valet. So it really is going to be determined by the number of permit holders, the number of hourly parkers, and their practices. How many people are parking their car at night versus how many are parking during the day? We have a lot of medical professionals at 42 Broad. Apparently, a lot of them are driving, they're night shift people. Because we have about 450 permit holders at 42 Broad. And we only have 320 to 340 cars in the garage at night. So it really will depend a lot on how this, actually plays out. But once it does, as she said, once the demand is there, then we'll make the shift as necessary. Thank you.
now we have a question in regards to a market study in terms of the feasibility of this project. I'm sure that you have done your homework as you did before with Broad Street. So can you just talk a little bit about why you feel confident in terms of why this building development would be successful with that Broad Street?
So, several things. First of all, there were a lot of doubters of 42 Broad. A lot of people thought that 42 Broad was a Trojan horse for Section 8. In fact, the biggest outcry during the hearings when we were going for the rezoning at 42 Broad was that that's what we were going to do. It was a lie. We weren't going to do market rate. It was just going to become a big Section 8 building. Well, we don't have a single Section 8 tenant. I've got 90% of the tenant of the apartments now, almost 90% occupied, and there isn't a single Section 8 tenant. They're all hardworking folk that are, not that Section 8 people aren't hardworking folk, but the point is they're all people that are paying their full rent. What we've also found from 42 Broad is that there is a cohort of folks that can't quite afford most of the apartments at 42 Broad. Our average size unit at 42 Broad is, I think, 840 square feet or 820 something square feet. I think our average here, Stuart, is 720 or something, 720, 730, something like that. So at $50 a foot a year times 100 square feet, that's $5,000 a year of rent that a person doesn't have to pay on average. And so if I've got a lot of apartments that are 500 to 600 square feet, it means that the rent on those units is gonna be much lower than the rent on a comparable apartment at 42 Broad that's 700 square feet. So and so we turn away people all the time because of that. Their price point is just a little, they've got $2,500 to spend on one bedroom. Well, my one bedroom start at about 27, 28 and go up into the 3,000s at 42 Broad. They can afford 2,000 or 1,900 for a studio. Well, my studios start at about 21, 2,200. I think the very first tenants that moved in maybe got in, we had a couple of apartments in the 1,900 to 2,000. So a big part of it is we've learned from actual practice at 42 Broad that there is a cohort of folks that want to live in Mount Vernon that are just under the threshold for 42 Broad. That's number one. Number two, we've also found that we're attracting a lot of dual commute households, meaning one member of the household works maybe in the city or in the Bronx, and another member works up here in Westchester County. 42 Broad is an amazing dual commute location. Mount Vernon East is an amazing dual commute location. You've got a train that gets down to Grand Central Station in 27 to 30 minutes and gets up to Stamford, Connecticut in about the same amount of time. It gets up to Port Chester and Greenwich in 20 minutes. So we believe that being right next to this train station is going to drive a tremendous amount of luxury shoppers, but value shoppers within that within the context of luxury. People that want all the amenities of luxury, but have to be judicious in terms of where they pick and choose. And we think this is a location that's perfect for those folks. And it's going to, at 42 Broad, our largest cohort demographically is between the age of 20 and 40. About 40% of our residents, roughly a little over 40%. I would expect in this location, it's going to be over 50% are going to fall into that category. Folks that have been living in their mother's basement and are tired of living in his mother's basement unit. No disrespect to your lovely basement unit, but I want my own place now, right? Ma, I'm tired, I want to get out. Or they've been living in a share situation and they want their own place. Or they living in a crummy share and they want a really nice share. Right. And so we're going to be offering all of those things. Yes, we did several years ago when we first started this, we did a marketability study, a professional one, but we also know how to do our own. We have CoStar now. We do CoStar reports regularly. His younger brother did a whole series of market research exercises for us last year. We are very confident that we will achieve solid market rents in this location. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some issues in the neighborhood. We talked about it at the hearing on April 2nd or April 2nd. One of those being public safety on the next block between Portugal Place and Park Avenue and the illicit activity that apparently is going on in that block. I mean, it is going on in that block, but I haven't arrested anybody lately. So that is something that we're going to have to address with the city, and we're going to need the mayor's help, and we're going to need everybody's help in cleaning up that block. But the mayor did apparently in her State of the City address mention the potential of acquiring property through eminent domain if landowners don't participate in the upward swing of the city's trajectory of Mount Vernon. Whether she's, really means to move forward in that or not, can't tell you, but we certainly would support that in isolated instances where property owners aren't doing their civic duty.
You still feel this way in unpredictable times that we face right now?
Excuse me?
You still feel the same way with your market rate?
100%, 100%.
Even though we're challenged even more so.
Yeah. Look, we have great. I mean, I said this the last time, I'll just say it briefly again. Mount Vernon is a fantastic city. The problem with Mount Vernon is not enough people from outside understand that. And we're working hard in Fleetwood to make people understand it, and we're being very successful, by the way. The hardest part about 42 Broads marketing is to get them to show up, because once they show up, they love the place. And so we think that that's possible here in downtown. It has to be started the right way, and the city needs to back us up. And if those things happen, we think we'll do great. We know we'll do great.
Any questions on that? Anything else? Or no? Any questions, gentlemen? No, right? Council, either end? Questions?
No questions.
Questions? All right. Commissioner Rouse, anything? Good. Anyone else in the public that would like to speak in regards to this particular application, please come forward. We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Even if you're for the application, just against that.
It's however you, either or.
Yes, I just want to say I am.
I just need your name for the record,
Okay.
please.
Turn it up.
There you go.
My name is Al Zihani. I'm a small developer from New York City that I moved in 2014. I'm facing a lot of struggles with this city. It's a great city. To see people that are interested like me to do small projects, we need to support them, support me. I'm a small business, I'm a contractor. To see people are still interested and passionate about this town. This town is a great town, great hub between two major highways, the train station, and to have a project at that magnitude, people get built in New York City. You don't know what happens, 70 stories. It's not an issue. You can work through these problems, supporting businesses that people still come back here. And I don't know what else to say. This town is a great town. We just have to be progressive to help people, talented people to come here. And my complaint on the next application is to help us, because we're being forgotten for other people to do certain things that's been, you know, they say we're grandfathered in, we're here before you, and we're not getting the support, and you're doing a great job. And this is a great thing that this town, that's attracting people, developers to come here to bring business. And I could get more jobs, so I can maybe bid this job for this gentleman. Maybe I could get services. We're tired of empty parking lots and plywoods on homes, and there's not even people who are interested. I get banks to come. I can't give you money. There's a hoarder next to you. There's a guy who's dumping vehicles with no engines on the street in the back of my property. I couldn't get funding. And I was in front of this respectful board, and I rezoned my property, and I was successful. It's 11 years later, I can't develop it because somebody behind me doesn't care. They want to leave things the way they were. I'm a new guy. I'm the newcomer. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Or anybody else in the audience that would like to speak in regard to this application? Do we have anyone via online? No? Okay. Okay. So. Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay.
I have a question for the gentleman who just spoke. I appreciate your comments. One question, do you live here? Do you live in Mount Vernon?
I live in New York City. I just moved to Pelham.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
My business is on South Fulton Avenue. I bought 5 empty lots. We cleaned up the properties. And in the sense that we want to do something here.
Why did you have so much interest in Mount Vernon?
Because the location, where it sits, you're by 95, you're by the Hutch, you're by the Cross County. As a business, a lot of people are coming next to the train station. They're targeting this certain. I'm a different type of business. I'm a developer where I work with offices, professionals, bringing lawyers, architects, where we have a hub where if you want to go to the city, we can create that certain space. And South Fulton Avenue and Stanford Boulevard, that south end of Mount Vernon is a gold mine, but it's not being developed properly. Rezoning are being changed for certain businesses and others are left in the window because somebody is violating certain rules. I'm with the rules. I'm a CB business. Next to me, the guy is dumping vehicles. And when you have a developer who's coming here to put a 21-story building, that's great. That means money's coming in here. That's a $60-70 million project. There's gonna be more people, more taxpayers coming in. Mount Vernon was a great city. I was told I wasn't born. This is a great. By older people. My Joe, who I bought the property from, he was one of the biggest contractor in New York. He said Mount Vernon was it. Nobody was talking about Scarsdale and Bronxville. Mount Vernon, because it's that hub. And I came here because of it. And I'm failing. And I'm at one point, should I sell you my property, sir? Or should I come in and fight again? I'm here for another hearing, not to complain, just to bring up to your attention about some zoning. I had a nice conversation with the commissioner that I would exchange them because we speak to the mayor. I'm a small guy. I'm not a big guy. You know, I have 4 or 5 small lots. I was going to put up a building, hire local business. And for a project like this, it's exciting. And I don't have to go to the city and go to Brooklyn. I could work locally. I could bring in my services. And these are the things, it's not only about concrete and facades, and there's a lot, it helps.
No, I agree. I think you've made yourself clear, sir. It's about a goal, man.
Yes.
You said that a couple of times, so I get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like those comments verbatim reflected in the minutes for this meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Chairman?
Yes,
There's-
Commissioner.
There's no other comments from the audience. I'd like to make a motion to close this at this time.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, is this a motion to close the public hearing or to adjourn?
Close the public.
No, to close the public hearing at this time.
Okay. Sure. Well, because, I think there's some items. It sounded like the board wanted more information on, like the plans regarding the pool, like the drainage.
I think that those could probably be conditioned.
Okay. Does the board want to see any further revisions?
Well, you know what? Why don't we go over what conditions we would have? Okay.
Just regarding the scoping to ensure the capacity of the infrastructure. The pool plans. The staging plan.
Is that part of the public hearing, council?
Well, if there will be new information or new revisions presented to the board.
But I
Public agenda.
I think that was probably would be comfortable with planning department and the building department in terms of talking about the pool, in terms of, you know, the piping, how the water for the pool, you know, irrigation, all that. I think that can be done as a condition. I don't think that coming back with the plan showing that would really be material in making a change.
Mr. Chairman, I agree. A lot of the comments that the board made tonight, I can work with the catchy and fold pretty much all of that to the conditions of approval. So.
I'm gonna try this again.
Yes.
Okay. Chairman, I would like to recommend that we close the public hearing at this time on this application.
Subject to conditions that will be prepared in the resolution.
Subject to these conditions that will be prepared on the resolution.
Close enough. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We are in public hearing. I mean, we have closed the public hearing. In terms of the motion to approve the application with the revisions to be provided by council that have been discussed this evening pertaining to stormwater was being, I'm just going to recite some of them and then catch the ones that I missed. The stormwater, plan, making sure that city engineer has signed off on that. The piping, the scoping, that from a state, county and city perspective that's going to be looked at, but still would be a condition. The construction staging, obviously, it's a planning board issue, but we want to make sure that the construction staging, that more details are provided during that process. The pool irrigation runoff to be handled with staff. And what else did I miss? Did I miss anything else?
There's others, Mr. Chairman, I have to go back through all my notes. So what I would recommend, frankly, is the board authorize staff to prepare a resolution for your consideration at the June meeting. And that resolution would capture all of these conditions that were discussed this evening.
Correct. So, all right, so I just want to make sure that we didn't leave anything out. Okay. Thank you, Mr. White. So again, Jack, I will restate it. Okay, make a motion to have council to prepare a resolution for consideration at the June meeting that encompasses the conditions that have been discussed this evening. There was a motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a second to the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, right, like everything we heard about the green certification, the community liaison, we're gonna go back through everything, the topics that were raised tonight, and we'll fold in all of that as appropriate. So that's why I wasn't prepared to go through each condition just now.
That's perfect, thank you.
But we got it.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care. There are. Ready to press the lights? Press the lights? All right.
We'll go through a position.
I was going to.
Thank you for coming to the side.
All right,
So, we lost one commissioner for a break. So what we're gonna say is 3-minute break.
But we can take the next break, they have one. We can take the next break. Next break. There you go.
Yeah, you're up next, so I've got like 60 seconds to use it.
I don't know what's happening right now. But the thing is, if nothing else, if it comes to you, maybe we want. But at the end of the day, I don't know, we was up like 20, almost 20, and then we just left it. They done got 11 points. All that, and no. You only played 14 minutes. You probably left the ring, you probably not the wherever he had.
Not even us. I thought. I thought that 23. No, no. He might have 5. He got a big game today tomorrow, right? You don't. I don't know what happens, it's just what I want you to. See that that's terrible. I agree with that. Sometimes I can.
Commissioner Simon, you ready?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay. You got okay.
We're on? Going back on?
Okay.
All right. Okay, thank you. We are 4.4. Case number PB 24-8318 Sally.
Yeah, it's 4.3.
I'm sorry, 230s, yep, I sure did. On the bottom, 4.3, case number PB 25-4. 230 East Sanford Boulevard. See, good evening.
Good evening, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, staff professionals, and it looks like the councilman has left the building. Okay, Jennifer Canarin from Price Me Shulman and D'Arminio on behalf of the applicant for and Decor Outlets of America, specifically for re-tenanting a property located at 230 Sanford Boulevard. Before we begin our presentation, we do have somebody in the waiting room. It will be Erin Witt or Erin Smith. He's the land development manager of Fourth Ward Decor. She's representing as a representative. She did, perfect, wonderful. And I also have with me Mr. Daniel Chanel with Dynamic Engineering. He's a licensed professional engineer, senior principal at Dynamic. And he'll be going over the plans prepared by his firm with the notice revision date of May 1st, 2025. Just to give a little background, have either of you, any of you been in a Fourth Decor before? You have, okay, great.
Yes.
So you're familiar with when you're remodeling your kitchen, remodeling your bathroom, so forth. So, F&D, I'll use the acronym, is a leading specialty retailer offering a broad selection of tile, wood, stone, related tools and flooring accessories. Currently, they have over 261 stores throughout the US, offering superstore selection at warehouse prices with showroom quality. The closest one to our location right now would be Port Chester, or if you want to travel to Rockland County, Nanuet, New York, the 3 other closest. So we're here this evening seeking site plan approval to re-tenant the existing vacant shopping center supermarket. I'm sorry, Stop and Shop supermarket located at 230 Sanford Boulevard. On-site improvements are pretty limited to the developed portion of the site with modifications to the existing southern building entrance to construct the customer pickup area. Also ADA upgrading, including relocations, repaving, regrading of parking stalls. You also, it was proposed that we provide a sidewalk extension to East Sanford Boulevard. And again, I'm gonna have Mr. Chanel go over the plans, so in more detail. Unless you have any questions of me at the moment.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Again, good evening. Daniel Chabal. I am a principal of the firm Dynamic Engineering. We are the civil engineer that prepared the site plans that were submitted on behalf of this application for the applicant. So I'll be real brief tonight. I'm sure you're probably very aware of the property itself, located at 240 Sanford Boulevard East. Just under 9 acres in size within the CB Central Business Zone. It is currently a vacant shopping center or building that was once contained the Stop and Shop, which vacated the premises in fall of 2024. So improvements are very limited here. As you heard, Floor & Decor is looking to essentially come in and be the new tenant of the building. So very limited site improvements itself. Access to the site is just one driveway, signalized intersection on the East Sanford Boulevard. It is a signalized intersection. You come into the site. If you know the site, it's elevated about 15 feet higher than that intersection. The driveway essentially wraps around the front of the parking lot, gets you access to that front or main parking area right in front of the store. The improvements, again, very limited. The northern entrance to the building, that will now be, or the existing northern entrance to the Stop and Shop will now be the main entrance for the Floor & Decor. And the existing southern store entrance will now be the customer pickup area. A couple very limited site improvements as well. There we are proposing a new ADA accessible route from Sanford Boulevard to the existing handicap accessible ramp that switchbacks up in front of the existing retaining wall to provide access to that upper parking lot. Right now, there's no direct sidewalk connection back out to the roadway, so we are proposing one. Also relocating some of the handicap accessible parking spaces. There is a bank of existing parking ADA spaces near the southern entrance. We're actually going to relocate those so they'll be closer to that northern entrance, and we'll provide the correct number of handicap accessible parking spaces for the number of spaces that exist on that lot itself. Where we're relocating those handicap spaces, we'll repave that portion of the parking lot, just make sure that it's compliant and up to code. And where those spaces were relocated from, those will be now designated as what Floor & Decor considers I'm Here spaces. What that means is if you place the online order, you would pull up, park in those I'm Here spaces, and you notify them via text that you're there. And then what you would do is you would pull essentially onto the sidewalk that is directly in front of the southern entrance to the building, that will be proposing some improvements there, depressed curb and some bollards, and 2 10-foot wide parking spaces that allows vehicles to actually back right up to that northern entrance, or I'm sorry, that southern entrance, where a forklift can come out and load the bulk materials that you might have purchased online before they send you on your way. Site is fully compliant with as far as a number of parking spaces that are provided. It's actually a surplus in parking for this use. The Floor & Decor will take control of the entire top floor of the existing building. The lower floor, which is on the lower level, that's accessed at the lower portion of the retaining wall, will remain an existing warehousing tenant, so no changes there. There are some existing nonconformities that exist throughout the site, however, not intensifying any of those. There is no changes to the bulk standards, no changes to the setbacks, just a very minor increase in impervious surface coverage, about 300 square feet for the addition of that parking or that sidewalk that gets you back down to the roadway from the handicap accessible route. And then finally, also proposing some real minor facade improvements, essentially just matching the branding for Floor & Decor, some new ephes, changing some of the aluminum elements that are on the front of the building, but essentially the same architectural elements that exist there today will remain under proposed conditions, just refreshing them and bringing them up to date to the Floor & Decor brand. I do have some elevations if you wanted to see those, but again, very minimal changes to the existing facade that you see there. Again, I said I'd be short, and that essentially highlights the changes. Again, real minimal, but if there's anything that I missed or you want to hear more on, I'm more than happy to provide some more detail.
Got a bunch of questions. Sure. All right, one, we'll start with hours of operation.
Of course. So hours of operation, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Days. Next, how many deliveries, how many trucks would be coming in usually? And at what time?
Yep, absolutely. So typically it's about 4 to 8 truck deliveries 5 days a week. So weekdays only, and those only take place when the stores close. So the overnight hours, again, Monday through Friday, that would be after 7 p.m. and prior to 7 a.m.
Typical, and a few of the commissioners are familiar with Florida Court. I am not. Do you have, you say equal number of contractors coming in as individuals, coming to shop? Is it kind of like if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you've got contractors going in to get materials, and you've got, do it yourself people like me, going, I mean, is it a combination? You can tell a combination of both.
Yep, correct.
Okay, all right. So, but I would say overall, since it's would no longer be a supermarket, you would have less traffic going in there. You wouldn't have the same amount of traffic.
Yeah, that's exactly my opinion. Would be the parking calculation is the same based on the retail use and the style of the use. However, I certainly see less traffic being generated just because of the nature of the use. Supermarkets tend to generate a lot more traffic, people coming in throughout the week versus this type of use. I'd say a little bit less traffic, especially during weekdays, a little bit more busy on the weekends when those weekend go-getters are out there shopping around for their home improvement needs. But definitely less traffic generator than existing conditions.
And in terms of the number of jobs that would be created.
So employees on site from opening until 5 p.m. there's about 25 full-time employees, 15 part-time, and then from 5 p.m. to closing there's 20 full-time, 20 part-time. That's on weekdays. On weekends, a little bit more because there's that higher foot traffic coming in. Opening to 5 p.m., 30 full-time, 20 part-time, and then 5 p.m. to closing, 25 full-time, 15 part-time.
That may be adjusted, depending on the volume business.
Right. And so in some of the, like the store in Dorchester and the one in Rockland County, in terms of the jobs that are, does Florida Core, look at those that live within a certain proximity? Do they, try to hire? Because we always try, like, we have developments, things that come in to be able to help, to promote Mount Vernon residents to be able to, certainly be in the running for jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they look to promote, hiring the area, hiring local. They may bring in a store manager from another closer location to kind of get the store up and running and on their feet. But yeah, certainly looking to hire within the community.
100%. Okay, all right. Those are some of my questions for now. So
I have a few.
Please.
This presentation here that does not display what Florida Core is gonna look like. So I hope we come back with something that's gonna be more detailed for the store layout. Is that gonna be done?
As far as what looks like inside the building, I mean, we have a floor plan.
Outside and inside, if you have that.
Absolutely, can show our proposed elevations that we brought. Again, it essentially matches the architecture that exists today, just some minor improvements. It's all a whole small copy, but looking at it. So as far as the elevations, again, it's matching the same line, same building materials that exist there today, just new signage. And essentially refreshing the ephes that's on the front of the building, as well as some of those aluminum architectural elements that are directly above the northern and southern entrance of the building itself.
So let's talk a little bit about parking. You said you were going to relocate the ADA compliance handicap parking spaces to further down, which would be north of the building, which is a very long building. And then place in, pick up your order, that type of McDonald's style, you would say, right? Pick up your order. and
Exactly.
Go around, okay. So why are we doing that?
So we have existing building, there's two main store entrances. This would be the northern, this would be the southern. So under existing conditions, your ADA parking spaces that are essentially divided evenly between the two entrances.
Right.
Because customers can go in and out of both entrances.
Well, I can't hear him, I'm sorry. I can't hear what he's saying, I'm sorry.
So under proposed conditions, what we're going to do is take the couple of ADA parking spaces that are down by the southern entrance under existing conditions.
Okay.
And we're gonna slide them up closer to the northern entrance. Because that northern entrance is gonna be the main customer entrance. That's where everyone's parking to enter the store. And that that southern building entrance that exists today, that's gonna become the customer essentially loading zone or pickup area. So that's not gonna be the entrance where people are going to access the retail space. What they're going to be able to do is there'll be two 10-foot by 18-foot wide or deep parking spaces directly in front of that door. And when people come, they'll park in where those existing ADA spaces were. There'll be signed for "I'm here," which is the Ford Decor branded item. They'll text the store to let them know that they're here to pick up their order. Once their order is ready to be essentially loaded to their car, a store representative would then direct them to pull into one of those two spaces at that southern entrance. They can back into those if they have a pickup truck. They would be able to interact with the representative of the store right at that entrance, and they'd be able to bring out their order and load it directly into the back of their car for them. So this really isn't a customer entrance anymore, it's just a customer loading area.
Oh, customer load, and it will be signage to reflect that. It's
Yes.
customer loading area.
Absolutely.
And then you said this building was 2 stories. When you walk into shopping stop, you're usually walking on the ground level. Is there something that's above this area?
Nope, so again, as you come in from that signalized intersection, you kind of work your way up that ramp and it's an elevated parking area. But if you go to the rear of the building, there is a floor that actually below the existing Stop and Shop. It's essentially, I guess, the eastern third of the building has a lower level. And that's used for essentially warehouse space with a different tenant that's not associated with the floor to floor. And that would exist. So that's accessible from essentially that north eastern corner of the site.
Okay, and talk to me a little bit about camera and security within that particular area.
The lower area
Yeah.
that exists.
Where the,
It's a good question. I don't know if particularly I have an answer because it's not associated with the Ford and Decor, essentially retaking that tenant space. The owner of the site still has control of that bottom rented out area. So I'm honestly not sure if they have any type of cameras or anything in that area.
so I think that would be something that we should consider, some security camera areas. Let me just ask a question about the signage outside. There used to be a sign outside as you enter, drive in, that says shopping stop. You know that big sign?
Yep, at the essentially near the intersection down the pylon sign, the existing freestanding sign.
Yeah, as you come up the ramp. There's a
freestanding one.
The freestanding, yes. So that would be enhanced to reflect.
Correct.
Same size, same location, essentially just refaced to be the Ford Decor rather than the Stop and Shop.
Ford Decor is leasing this building
Yes.
for how long?
Aaron, are you there?
I couldn't hear that question. What was that?
They're asking how long the lease is for.
Our lease is for 15 years.
15 years.
15 years, and what kind of out do you have?
What was that? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
What kind of out do you have?
What kind of what?
In other words, you have 6 months of poor performing, you have 6 months of substandard sales. It's protracted, it's no longer cost effective for Floor and Decor to be in that space. How long before Floor and Decor can exit that building and it's vacant again?
I mean, honestly, we don't sign leases to break them. We've done our market research that we feel that we're going to do well here, and based on other stores within the area, we don't see us, breaking this lease.
If you sign leases to break them, I'm asking you what the contractual provisions are. I'm asking what the out clauses are.
I don't know that. I can ask our real estate team and get back to you with that information.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we indicated that the owner of the property, I guess it's going to not leasing the entire facility, they're gonna hold on to part of it.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
Yes, yep, it's just the top floor and the parking facilities that's essentially leased to Floor Decor.
Okay, so in terms of. Yeah, I've been there before. So is it similar to, you know, Lowe's and Home Depot where like everything, like all of the materials, everything is kind of stored in pallets and shelving and things of that nature?
Yeah, exactly. So, also on the other side here, we do have a very base floor plan, which kind of shows different spaces. The main portion of the building is about a 42,000 square foot open retail area. So yeah, it's very similar to Home Depot or Lowe's that displays the different products. And you know, has the various different sections of the store to shop in. But there's also offices for the employees of Floor Decor, about 2,200 square feet. There is about a 12,000 square foot warehouse area where they would store their bulk products that would essentially be for purchase or loading to people's cars. So yeah, it's very similar to a Home Depot or Lowe's type use.
Okay. So the flooring aspect, I have that. In terms of the decor, is that like a home goods, like, you know, you have lamps and other kinds of things that, I mean.
It's like.
Vanities.
Yeah, like
cabinetry.
accessorized, like the kitchen with the knobs on the cabinet.
Okay, so the hardware thing that they.
Yeah, more like hardware for, definitely not, you know, you're not gonna see rugs or lamps or anything like that. It's-
Okay,
it's
so
the
there's a lot
hardware.
of tile, you know, there's
Correct.
different types of
Wood,
flooring,
yeah.
wood, things like that, okay.
Stones.
Stone, right, okay.
It has a very.
That's the closest.
It has a very.
Yeah, it's also. It's about the same, in my opinion, it's really both. I live in my. So that's only like 30 minutes drive, which is because of course, no, much less traffic.
Right.
Get there. So either one.
Yeah. I just have one quick question, like. I'm trying to go with what's up. So I'm just thinking about all those tractor trailers, all of those contractors, all of those people that, you know, that are gonna be using that. Is that the only way that you can enter and exit? Like, there's nothing you can come around the back, like.
There is a cross access easement to the lot directly to the east of us that it's just another entrance exit out to Stanford Avenue. But there's no other. You have the ability to use it, but most people are gonna be opting to use that signalized intersection, especially if you're gonna be making the left in. And if you're gonna make a right in, you're gonna come across that signalized intersection before you get to the next one down. So most of the traffic is gonna come in from that western entrance. But there is another outlet, especially if you wanted to make a right out of the site and continue to head east rather than go to this little signalized intersection, you could go down to that next exit out.
I know what you're talking about when
That low.
you're going out,
Yeah.
you can go down that hill and go out
Correct.
that way, but I'm saying like around the back, like. No.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty steep drop off. It's all wooded back there. So there's no other.
No, it'll be the same for like when if you went to the store to go.
Yeah, but I always wish they had like something else, cause you get stuck sometimes and, you know, that traffic on that point just there. And then the traffic right there on Sanford,
Yeah.
it's really bad.
Yeah, I did experience that today.
So, okay.
But what's gonna happen with well, you don't know, with the other space, but you're only taking part of this location, right?
The top floor, the bottom floor, I believe it's essentially just like a warehouse space that a different tenant uses, which from our understanding is remaining as is, it's not changing.
All right, so, you know, what we typically do, and I think that it was just discussed a little while ago, we would want to see on the plans, the lighting plan, we want to see, you know, what's going on there, are you changing any of the lighting in the parking lot itself?
We are not, it's existing LED lighting, which from my understanding, it's still adequate. It might be, I'm not sure if it's been on since Stop and Shop's been closed. But we do understand that it's in a good shape. It was recently updated when Stop and Shop was still there, so it is LED lighting. So we planned on no changes there.
Right, and what about lighting on the facade itself?
I believe it's just the lighting below the canopies that exist at the entrances and the lighting of the sign itself.
All right.
No other.
So if you could just have that reflected so we could actually see that, and then we do ask, in regards to security camera. Retention of 60 days, so we want to see that plan.
Understood.
And, no, that's just
I'm sorry, you said 60 days, Chair?
60-day retention,
Thank you.
right? Exterior, whatever. Interior, that.
And the lighting in the parking lot, not too long ago, was like, it looked like a purple orb.
Like, so, I'm sorry, like,
It was purple, like it was like it presents purple if you're on Sanford Boulevard and driving.
Really?
Yeah, it looks,
Yeah.
it looks alien.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm like, why does it look like
No,
that?
it's most likely that
What do you think it is?
it is LED lighting. It's most likely the temperature of the LED lighting. It ranges in temperatures on a Kelvin scale. I believe it's the higher the temperature, the bluer the light is, the lower the temperature, the yellow or warmer the light is. So they.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. I live around the corner, I know. So I'm like.
Thank you.
So I see you have some landscaping on that, drawing there. I know Stop and Shop had some, it probably died and everything. I'm assuming you're gonna refurbish and take care of those.
Currently didn't propose any type of landscaping. It's just the existing Stop and Shop. Landscaping that's there, kind of anticipated that comment coming up. So absolutely can discuss with Warren Gore about taking a look at the landscape and replacing anything that's dead or dying or bad shape. And
To look fresh,
we'll refresh that.
dated, in other words, so we'll look into that.
Are you upgrading the inside as well internally?
In terms of.
I don't know, paint,
Oh,
shelving, I mean,
Aaron,
floors.
pretty much got the whole thing, right?
Yeah, it's an entire tenant fit out. So everything that is in there is going to be completely redone.
Oh, so you are vetting the areas.
Inside.
Inside,
Yes, we have to, because supermarket to show, much like kind of like a showroom. That's-
Another thing that should be discussed at subsequent meetings is the potential resurfacing of that parking lot. That parking lot is dilapidated and has been spot repaired over the last several years, so it has several cracks, depressions, other things. And so we may want to consider doing a full-scale resurfacing, especially with the ADA spaces and having to do other things, and
Yeah.
changing entrances and all that kind of stuff.
Understood.
Are there planters around there? I didn't remember if there was. You said you were around there? Okay.
Yes, we just talked about it.
I'm sorry.
It's every time.
Get late.
They talk.
Something to spruce those up.
We can do that.
Yes, definitely.
Duly noted.
All right, council.
I have no comment.
There were comments submitted by other departments from this quickly. The police department. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry about that. The police department did not have any comments. And then for Public Works, they so they made the same comment that they made more or less for the 896 South Columbus that we saw earlier, which was about if there was anticipated that there would be additional stormwater runoff, then there would need to be improvements to the infrastructure. But you were saying that there wasn't really going to be any, other than the new sidewalk, there wasn't really going to be any expansion of impervious surface.
You didn't mention they were increasing the impervious surface, I thought I heard.
Yeah,
Like
like
the sidewalk, yeah.
300 square feet
Yeah.
just along the frontage, going from, I think your 80% is permitted in this zone. We're at 68.4, going to 68.5, so really minor increase in impervious surface coverage there.
And then, fire department, okay, so FDMV has been in communications with, a fire alarm company to install a new fire alarm system. That's what they stated, and they have no further comments.
You're saying they have to install a new fire alarm system?
According to this statement, the fire department has been in communications themselves with a fire alarm company that's working on the building.
Oh, okay.
All right, you're familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Those are the three departments that commented. In terms of public comment, I can do that later, or I can do it now.
Let's do it.
Okay, so in terms of public comment, we received, consent forms from, Craig, Corsione, GDC Realty, Joseph Mullins, Lawrence Moskowitz, Pablo Rosales, and Russell Singer. We received one objection form from Mary Ebo.
All right, if there don't have any other questions, I'm gonna ask anyone from the public who's here in regards to this application to come forward.
Good evening. My name is Albert Ziheni. I am a owner of 5 lots adjacent to this property. Obviously, like I spoke before, I'm a capitalist, I'm a pro-business. And there's 3 points, that 2 to the tenants and 1 to the city, that I would like to address. I appreciate you giving me more than 3 minutes because I'm gonna be very brief.
Not much more.
Not much more. Okay. First, I received these letters, picked them up from the post office because we have empty lots in 1 building. So we did not receive, I'm just gonna make a comment. Our properties have addresses that goes to another building. So what they do, they send it to this address, nobody's there, it's an empty lot. But luckily I got a letter from a neighbor and I went to the post office. I just want to make a comment. I would not be in here for this hearing, just making a comment. The gentleman just mentioned that they're the new tenant and I'm pro for his business. I wish him luck. The issue is, this is a disaster of a property. It's a plateau of 3 acres with 2.5 acres of woods around it. It sits about 75 to 90 feet above us. We are on the South Fulton Lane and there's the woods that goes all the way up. The first issue we have is the parking that goes in is in 1 lane. And at night, you have people come from different parts stores and it becomes a hub for people to change vehicles, engines, and their parking. There's no security. The problems I have, it's none of my business, but these people, whether they're good people or bad people, they're up on top of us. I got robbed twice, and I didn't get robbed through my doors, through my rolling gates. I got robbed from my roof. Because when you stand there on top of this property, you will see like a bird eye on top of all the roofs. Pepsi Cola, my small shop, and I believe the body shop next to me. So now we reinforced everything, deadbolt everything, and now we have a 75,000 square feet parking lot that has no water retention anywhere. As a civil engineer, when I came in front of this board, I had all the studies with the retention tanks, no discharge. And I'm saying this is a pre-existing condition of this parking lot. Maybe it's not his problem. So when we have a flood of rain that comes over 70,000 square feet, 2.5 acres, runs off down that's why you have a lot of crevices, with the gentleman here mentioned, because of water settling. It runs down this driveway that they widen. It goes down Stanford. Where does it turn? It turned right on South Fulton Avenue. And I promise you, I'm not prepared. I will send you a video. You can do whitewater rafting, literally 2.5 feet in front of our business, coming from this parking lot. Now, the back street, I have 2 other lots in the back, which is Fulton Lane, right? You have the dirt, you have the parking, and driveway pitches that way. There's no curbs. All that water that doesn't run off down Stanford Boulevard runs down the back. It's a rocky area. And it flushes us through the yard, through all these properties. So the issue here that we were in negotiation with the previous owner. I'm not sure if they changed ownership to the point I wanted to buy the woods. I want to secure my property so I can develop it. I'm having struggles on every end. So now we have a new tenant, business as usual. I have nothing against their business, but there's nothing being done or a screen that they could, people who are parking there at night, maybe.
Have you notified the building department at all?
I've notified the police,
Have you notified the building?
the building department, fire department, every department. I went to the county, everybody. Okay, that's the part regarding this property. Now, the other issue that I have is the city. When they changed the zoning, we were considered as not commercial, industrial. To my left is industrial, in front of me is industrial, to the back of me is this wood with this parking. I have five lots that I want to develop. So now we're stuck. I'm following the rules. I came here in front of these you gentlemen, ladies. You approved me for rezoning because I'm a CB to build. Next to me, the guy's using the property as a junkyard. The other side, he has condemned houses who rents and he has junk everywhere. So I'm stuck on that area. This property has woods, nothing is secured. People come dump cars. That's before me. I'm not gonna say that. I heard there were dead bodies in that woods.
I think right at the moment, it's the owner of the property right now. Do you have the information for the owner of
I've
the property?
taken, the council just gave me her card. I'm gonna reach out to him.
Right, because I was gonna say that I am sure that, you know, Lieutenant, again, as this moves forward, I'm sure that they're going to make sure that their lot, everything is secured also. So I don't think that they want to have people going there after hours doing, you know, who knows what in that facility. There are going to be cameras that are going to be there also, which is why we mentioned retention of cameras to make sure that it captures everywhere.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I'm sure they have, as it is right now, there's no gates. There's no closure to this lane. I could drive right now and park 3 tractor trailers overnight.
That's right now. I'm just talking about. Again, this moves forward. There are going to be cameras. There are going to be cameras. And that's part of the reason why we asked for cameras, to make sure that it's able to capture. Cameras are going to be able to capture what's going on. If there is anything going on, be able to get license plate numbers, things of that nature. The police are going to be able to access that. So that's why we asked about these things. Okay, so that should help in terms of that.
Mr. Chairman, all due respect, I have 32 cameras in my business. I'm not blaming them that I got robbed. Okay, we got the pictures of the people. They were sent to the state, DNA was taken. We were robbed, our safe was broken into. We were disrupted. Why? Because we have a plateau above us that people are there after hours. All these are great tools to catch people. But if you don't do the preventive work, it's like you're having a cancer, you go do preventive work, blocking this parking lot, putting a fence along the lane, the side. They pretty much, this was a hill, right? You have step back. So what they did, they backfilled, they built a wall.
Saying that if there's a fence that's there, that would help to prevent any issues that you're having there.
All the businesses, exactly. People cannot see under. So basically, they put up this retaining wall about that.
So is that something that you would like to see whether or not could possibly be done by the owner of that property, putting a fence there?
Yes, yes. And securing this parking lot from bad, because people, if they see my gates are closed, if they're open, people are gonna come in. If just because to protect.
There, I mean, again, I don't know whether they have a gate or have a chain or whatever, but if you're talking about having a fence, that's something that possibly we can make a recommendation.
Sure.
Okay, as part of the application, that a fence, you know, be put up there. Yeah, that's a safety precaution.
Sure.
So, all right, what else?
The last portion is to you gentlemen and ladies, because we are in no man's land. Basically, they're a CB, they're above us. The city, when they changed the zoning in that area, no letters were sent to us. We were not notified. It was a good business thing. I'm pro-business. A food stop was there. Stop and Shop was there. It was a good business, employing a lot of local people. By them changing the zoning, they changed us, which I will give you the block and lot. It's the, I'm sorry, give me a moment. 4088. So with a small slice on the bottom of this hill, there is CB. If I was to open up a deli, nobody will show up. I have a warehouse in front of me that they do storage. I have another warehouse next to me. There's no local business where a footprint to do CB. So we were affected by that, and I had to come in, do a review board in front of you and all that. So I'm asking the question, where do I sit? In terms of, can I go develop my site and put a office building, a rental building, or a warehouse?
Well, you would have to put an application in that would have to be submitted to the planning department, or the planning board. We deal with an application that's actually for us. Okay, so that's something that you would have to have a discussion with the planning department in terms of what potentially could go there.
I understand, yeah.
And if you heard before, there was a concept plan about something before, so you may want to discuss them. And our assistant commissioner right there, Lucas Herbert, would be more than happy to give you his information, and then you can discuss with him any potential development that you may like to contemplate doing.
I appreciate it. I didn't get to the punchline. I understand
All
this,
right,
but
I'm gonna wrap this up.
okay, very quick.
I'm gonna wrap this up really quick.
No problem.
Go ahead.
So the issue is that we are a CB and we are abiding by it. But the neighboring businesses are not. They're using it as industrial, although the zoning was changed for them. They're dumping vehicles, they're towing
Okay,
cars.
this is not the right venue for this.
No, okay,
Okay.
understood. I mentioned with the commissioner, I'm gonna reach out to him.
Okay, speak to city, find out what the next city council meeting is. Ask to speak, let them know what's going on, okay? They can reach out to public safety and DPW, and the building department. All right, but this is not the forum for this,
I appreciate it.
okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to speak in regard to this application that's here now? All right, so some of the things that we would like to see, revised, we'd like to see the plan showing, exactly where the lights are gonna be on the
got that.
exterior, and also the
Security,
security cameras also,
got that.
and whether or not the lights, can be tweaked to I guess not be
Purple.
purple, right?
I think of, who's that little purple guy with kids, what was it, Barney?
Barney? Okay, anything else?
I did have a question. So he just mentioned the water. Retention or something like that, something of that nature, right? The water runoff. Is there something in place? Did you show something as far as water retention on your?
I'm not sure, I doubt there's any type of detention basins below the parking lot, just because of the age of the property. I know there's existing storm sewer inlets and piping that collect the stormwater that is, generated by the parking area and the drive aisles, and then discharges it off site. But I'm not aware of any type of detention system that exists. More than happy to take a look and see if there is any record of it.
I was just gonna say, I mean, if changing a little bit, making it, more pervious or impervious, or making it more pervious or more impervious.
Adding 300 square feet of more pavement, so more
Okay,
impervious.
all right, so we want to make sure whatever the calculations are for that addition, that it's retained. On the property. It sounds like there's a problem, but it sounds like that might be something that the owner of the property have to.
Right,
So look
maybe the owner of the property and the floor and decor to figure out some mitigation techniques to, slow down some of this water with some of the storms that we have.
Understood. We can take a look.
It is a slope, so I have seen where the water just keeps running. And to this point, it just runs off.
We can take a look and see if we can identify any notable issues, or see if we can do something to make it a little better.
Okay, so I'm sure that could definitely be looked at, and I don't know what length would be involved with the fence that we're talking about, but that might be something in terms of
Yeah, we-
negotiations to look at.
Sure, well, we are going to remove child development on the issues that were raised, so relative to his position on
Is it possible to you to show us a little style of what it's gonna look like inside? I mean, I know you can.
Like interior photos?
Yes. Like
Yeah.
interior photos of folk.
That's a good
Since
idea.
our chairman hasn't seen, I know he's gonna go to Portugal, but I wanted to have a little flavor.
Sure. We took extra, we have it, obviously gave you guys history photos for submission for, yeah, I don't think that's a problem.
That would be nice. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, and do you have the date for our next meeting? Yeah, that is,
June, it's in first.
June 4th.
It's right here on our.
June 4th.
June
4th.
4th?
Yeah, June 4th.
all right, so June 4th, right, we have our work session, which would be a Zoom on the 3rd, which is that Tuesday. And that's Zoom, but the meeting would be the Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
So we should,
At 6:30.
what's the drop dead deadline to get any revised plans in?
You can just work with me on that.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll talk
We'll talk
tomorrow
on
or Friday, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
He's big for you, by the way.
Yes.
A lot of credit. You have a gem over there.
All right, so if there is nobody else who would like to speak in regards to this application now, we are going to adjourn until the June 4th meeting. I'll make that motion to adjourn the June 4th meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Charlie.
Just one real quick, seeker lead agency.
Secret, yes, all right, let me reopen. Make a motion to reopen this seeker right now. Where is my? Your agenda, can I say for a second? Let's do one thing.
Agenda?
Thank you. So, that's good, all right, okay, proposed action, I made the motion to open it back up, was there a second?
Yeah.
You did, okay, all right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, okay, in regards to seeker, the proposed action is an unlisted action. Under seeker, the planning board to determine if they wish to serve as lead agency for seeker review of this application, I make a motion that planning board. Go third as lead agency in regards to seeker. Second, all right. We have a first, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 Okay, now I make a motion that we adjourn until the June 4th meeting. All right, second,
Thank you very much, everybody.
in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Thank you. All right, now, oh. what's next on there?
Yeah, that's for.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Okay. 4.4, case number PB-24-8318 South 8th Avenue in the RMF 6.75 multifamily residence district. Okay, the owner is Greater Centennial AME Zion Church. Robert? I don't know. Thank you. All right. Student sir, I'm sorry. That can be done later. Thank you. Excuse me.
It's all right, it's all right.
The owner is Greater Centennial AME Zion Church, represented by Captain Severe, their lead design professional. The applicant is requesting a site plan approval to construct a proposed family life center, community center for the Greater Centennial AME Zion Church. Good evening.
Good evening. How's everyone?
Good.
I am Cappy Severe. I have Maya Glavin with me and Robert Gentile. Maya works with me at my firm. And Robert represents the construction side. He'll be building the building. To give you guys a little history, 318 South 8th, I'm very tired. South 8th Avenue was an application that was presented to this board, I think back in 2007, when the church was going to build a new church. And they actually embarked on the new church. The building was constructed. And the economy collapse of 08 basically stopped them in their tracks. And the building sat vacant for many, many years. Partially constructed, and over that course of time, the church obviously had to make an executive decision, and it is decided to invest money in the existing church and make necessary repairs. So now they have no intention of getting rid of the church anymore. And now they're in a different financial situation, so they decided they wanted to build the Family Life Center. So my firm was originally contracted to try to convert what was built from being a new church into a community center, but unfortunately, the building suffered catastrophic structural phase over the course of many years because the roof wasn't completed, and it's a steel structured building, and all the steel structure rusted to the point where it was no longer safe. So the decision was made to tear the building down. And ultimately, the church decided they wanted to erect a Butler building, which is basically a prefab building. So we knocked down the existing two-story structure, and the intent is to build what you see in front of you here, which is a one-story prefab building. So in order to make it happen and to keep the square footage similar, the plan was to extend the actual existing foundation. We kept the foundation. We knocked the building down, but we kept the actual foundation of the building that was going to be their new church, and extended it so basically the footprint match the prefab Butler building, which is basically this rectangle that you see here in front of you. So we produced a set of architectural and engineering drawings, which I believe was submitted to you guys. And we are here. I don't know, Maya, if there's any specific details you want to talk about? You have to forgive us. If you have any questions, I'll answer questions.
I'd like to see, Centennial is a church
That's correct.
on 8th Avenue.
That's correct.
There was an adjacent building
Right,
that you were going to do this, I don't know, this rendition.
right.
So you broke in between the church and that adjacent building and
No.
made this a standalone?
No, we knocked that other building down.
So now this is a standalone?
This is a standalone. Yeah, the other building was a standalone building also.
The other building was standalone. Is there any pictures that we can see that shows the two side by side? So we can understand exactly what is being recommended?
So I think.
Or did you send that to us?
No, it's part of your package,
Okay.
But I can show you, this is part of what was submitted to you guys. Forgive me. So this is the building that was torn down, and this is the rear of the church. There was, because the church is a corner property.
Right.
And this is actually an A, and there's actually a decent amount of yard space in between.
Okay.
So this is the building that was erected, it basically stopped after the economy collapsed and stayed in that condition for over a decade. Yes, okay. And this may be helpful also. So this is the site of the new building, this is the old Zion Church. So you can see the space in between. So the building that you have in that picture is here, located in this spot. Yes, it's fine.
So now it's flat land?
Yes. That is correct.
Okay.
100% flat. So just in regards to, cameras and things of that nature. Did you submit those plans to us and did you show us where you plan on placing those items?
That's the easy one.
Cameras?
No, we didn't. What we submitted to you guys was the site plan submission for the utility connections, the stormwater. I have a general lighting plan, but no, we didn't do a security plan with the church yet. So that's something that has to be, and you're talking about not interior cameras, you're talking about exterior cameras.
Exterior cameras.
So that's something we'd have to come back to you guys.
Okay.
Right, so yeah, so the camera and the security plan.
Right, okay.
And what type of street lighting will be attached to this building, or will there be any?
No, we're not adding-
Of street lighting for security purposes, people walking down the street, 8th Avenue is a little dark over there.
Yeah, so what I have proposed, let me see the detail sheet for the light. That one of them? All right, just tell me what page you. So yes, so right now, because we have a little drive area to the side, we have one street pole that we have here as far as we can put it back. That gives general lighting of the site. Thank you.
C101.
Yeah, C101. And we have metal halide lights that'll be around the building. But I'll resubmit that to you guys. I have the detail sheet, but I did place it. Yeah, around the building. The metal halide, they give you that general yellow light. So the intention is not to overlight the area because it is a residential community. But give enough so you don't have dark spots. That's the plan.
I don't know. So in terms of the retention for stormwater, how are we accomplishing that?
So if you look on page. C105. C105. So one of the few things that they did in the existing building is they made the connection to the underground stormwater system. But they just didn't actually connect it to the actual stormwater pipes throughout the building. So the connection from the street to the building is there. It's a 10-inch stormwater lateral that ties into the building, but it's just not connected to anything in the building. So everything's still flooded in the building. So the intent is to utilize that same connection, which you can see on our, if you have the whole set on the plumbing drawings. E200, our riser, you can see the stormwater connection. But then in addition to that, because we extended the foundations to the building, so our actual physical footprint is larger. We also put a separate stormwater retention basin system in underground to handle our additional impervious coverage. Because the existing stormwater pipe handled the footprint of the existing building. So we added a retention system to cover the addition. And that's on there on C105. You take a look. You see we got our stormwater couch there, which basically covers the increased footprint in the building and whatever paving that we're doing on the site. We have some walking pavers that get around the site to get to the garbage area in the rear. So basically our stormwater retention system covers all that additional impervious coverage.
My question is, when you say family center, like, do you have a pool, you got racquetball, you got, well, hey, what's going on inside?
So that's the first one. I mean, I'll show it to you here. You don't have to look at the plan. So we got a basketball court. So what's gonna happen? This portion of the first floor is the office spaces that support the church. Because right now inside the existing church, they're kind of on top of each other for their general office. So the pastor's office, the deacon's office, all the church staff will now be housed.
Okay.
And this portion is the gym, and then there's a lower level. Oh. Yes. And to get an idea, So you can understand what we added. The areas that you see are gray are the extensions of the foundation.
Oh.
So this shape you see with all the existing colors is the existing foundation of the building there. So we didn't, so basically this is what was originally designed in the building pre-2007. So it's basically a bunch of little multi-purpose rooms that could be used as dance studios or whatever it is, ultimately the community is gonna need. And that's the plan. The plan ultimately is to sit there and I wish the pastor was here because he has this fantastic speech on what the building is gonna mean to the community, which I couldn't possibly recreate. But I was,
So the offices at this building, which says church, you relinquish, and everybody's gonna move over here.
that's correct, that's the plan.
Okay.
Will you be here in June?
I hope so. And I thought I was gonna be here in May. What's the parking? So right now, church, let me see that second, the picture. First part. So right now, the church owns this lot, this is the church, right? And the church owns this lot here, all right? So the plan, we already went through the zoning board on this. So it got an approved variance because this lot, which basically is never used until Sunday for the church, will be used for the family life.
Nice.
And it actually, so it works out perfect. And there are how many spaces in the lot?
62.
And how many do we need?
Well, it depends on the report, and we did mention this to the zoning board, it qualified our building as commercial indoor recreational facilities and health clubs. So that's 5 parking spots per 1,000 gross square feet, but this is a community purpose building, as you know, so that would be 3.3 per 1,000 gross square feet, so 53.
53.
Is what's required.
That's what we need.
And you have 62.
Yes. The Centennial Maintenance or Sexton team will take care of this building as far as the cleanliness and
Yep.
things in that trash receptacles and so forth and so on, correct?
Basically, this would be an extension of the church.
Mhm.
And the church maintenance staff would maintain this building. Yep, that's the plan.
What are the hours of operations for the building?
As far as I know right now, they are Monday through Saturday. Yeah, forgive me. I'm drawing a blank, but it's basically just during the daytime. It's a daytime operation.
When you come back, you give us exactly.
Yeah, that's the pastor's part of the show.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I know that, I think that we have some members from the public also, so we're going to see if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to this particular application at this time. I can't say for anybody who would like to speak in regards to this application.
Mr. Chairman, we have a substantial number of written comments that were sent in. So let me just navigate to the right window here.
Probably summarize it like.
I'll just tell you the number and I'll read you the names of the people who commented and that's it. Okay, so in this case, we received 21 objection forms. The forms were sent by Barbara Kahn, Betty Richardson, Beverly Faulkner, Clara Sanchez, Daisy Scott, Deborah Graves, Alethea Derby, Isam Alkaplani, Frederick Kahn, Heidi Scott, Herbert Grossman, Irene Anim Boateng, Jonathan Hemingway, Kimberly Parker, Marlene Canty, Marlene Hemingway, Miriam Johnson, Michelin Chambers, Norman Faulkner, Rufus Sells, and Victor Graham. Some of these were appended with letters as well.
Okay, would you mind telling us what some of the objections were for?
So some of these comments were raised at the zoning board meeting There was reports about damage that was done to houses due to blasting that occurred with the first phase of the construction.
Yeah, I think I can speak to that. Because this also came up in the zoning board. There were folks in the neighboring community that complained because of the amount of noise and vibration from the demolition of the existing building. Which is unfortunate, but the building is gone, it's demolished.
Right.
Was
Was anything done to help or to investigate some of these?
Well,
complaints?
I really didn't get, because we, subsequent to the zoning meeting, we actually got copies of it, but at the zoning meeting, I was kind of surprised because it was the first I'd heard of it. So I don't know, if the church themselves did any kind of outreach to talk to the folks. The only thing I did on the record, and I stated again, because the new building is a Butler building, it's an erector set. Basically, the building is bolted together. So all the hammering and nailing is done, and the foundation work is done already. So at this point, literally, it's just a Lego set. Literally, and that literally is nuts and bolts and steel is erected to put together. So the amount of vibration and amount of movement should be minimal and almost nothing, unless somebody drops a piece of steel or something on the ground. But there's no heavy vibration or noise associated with the erection of the new building because of the type of building that it is. And I stated this in the zoning board meeting also. That's it.
Yeah, hopefully some of the residents in the area that had some complaints will get to hear that, type of construction or type of, building that's going up. And, possibly alleviate concerns that they may have that their homes can be, further affected.
Yeah, what we talked about with the church, try to arrange some sort of meeting and invite the folks to come in and talk to them about it. But it hasn't happened.
Okay.
Between zoning and planning, it hasn't happened.
Right, okay.
But the plan is to do that before any construction starts. Because obviously the church has to do it. Right, after the building is erected. Right. Yeah.
All right.
So I do have one more question, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
So, the multi-room, the multi-purpose rooms and things of that nature, would that be potentially used as a event space and things of that nature? Because I'm just trying to make sure the parking is adequate for, in case you have events, you have basketball, you have other things going on, would that was 50, I know you only allow a certain amount, but.
Right, no.
But that would be adequate in case you start using this big space for other types of events,
Well,
as opposed to just kids.
I think I can answer it this way, and obviously when we come back, I'll make sure the pastor's here so he can answer on the record because he'll be running. But my understanding is there's nothing in this building that's going to be done for any profit. So they wouldn't be rented out to any people. They're not trying to have basketball tournaments and things like that. And it's supposed to be a community center, as far as I know. So if there's like dance studios, it's going to be, free dance studios, right? So I don't know about competitions or anything like that, but he can speak to that on the record. But that's my understanding.
Thank you. Would you happen to know what the occupancy of the building would be?
Yeah, sure. I can look it up. I don't know off the top of my head. $900 occupants total max.
900?
Yeah, but that includes 423 occupants in the bleachers, because we have a bleacher set up in the gym for spectators to watch. So literally almost half of that is spectators. So basically the real number is about 500. That's maximum. That's based on, I wouldn't assume that normal occupants, but that's based on the size of every room, because the rooms don't have furniture. So we have to do the calculations based on number of people per square foot. So that's worst case. So that means our egress has to be designed for that.
Right.
And all of our life safety has to be designed for that. But that's our worst case scenario.
Have you designed any of those things so far, the like safety and egress?
Yeah, all that's in the, all that is in there. Yeah, I don't have the exterior lighting. And I don't have the security cameras. The two things you guys need to see, but everything else is in that big set of drawings. It's all there.
I have no question. Any additional questions? No, not this, any additional? Any additional?
No.
So if you would be so kind to come back to Severe with the lighting plan and the security plan. All right, and keep in mind that the retention that we have for 60 days. With the cameras, that would be greatly appreciated, and our next meeting is June 4th.
Okay.
Wednesday. The work session is the 3rd, that's done via Zoom. If you want to log in. And if you could just reach out to Mr. Herbert in regards to the submission. So we have it, so we can go over it.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn until the June 4th. So
good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Second, all in favor? Thank you very much. Okay.
And I'm gonna say when we put it back.
Pleasure. Thank you. Okay. We'll do, let's see. Question for the rest of the.
Oh, yeah, hopefully that was the last news.
Comes in 3, so it's not. All right, new public hearing 4.5, case PB 24 66 Mount Vernon Avenue. Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We just,
And what is your name, sir?
Orfeim Tom.
Thank you.
I've been in business on Mount Vernon for over 30 years in Fourth Avenue. I have a lot that I've been waiting for over 20 years to develop. Now is I got it to a mixed use. It's 24 unit, 5.5 story. It's on Mount Vernon Avenue. And fortunately, my architect, he got an emergency, he got sick. And his daughter had to take him to a hospital, to rush him to a hospital. I don't know if it's a heart problem or, so he's supposed to meet me here and all of a sudden that's what happened.
Okay, so you don't have the plans or anything with you?
I got it on my phone. I thought he's gonna.
So I'm gonna say that we're not gonna be able to share your phone.
Okay.
And that we definitely appreciate you coming here. But I think that probably makes more sense for us to meet in June. When your architect is here with all the plans that we can go over them with him.
Because we passed the zoning board, I mean, we passed the zoning with that.
Right,
Site plan.
but we need to, sit here, need to present and go over everything, with us. So that we can ask the, right, all of the questions that would be needed. So because, fairness to you, it just makes a lot more sense, for us to have your design professional here with the actual plans. So that we can go over them, so we can ask all the questions that we need to. Okay,
I understand.
okay. So with that said, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn to the June 4th meeting. Okay, we hope that the Macintosh recovers quickly. And appreciate you coming here, he's not here. And I wish that we could do more, but it really is not gonna help us. To let's have your camera, your phone. Okay,
Second.
all right. So there was a motion and a second, all in favor, adjourn to the June 4th meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Report. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Is there anything administrative that we need to discuss at the moment?
Believe that's it, yeah.
Is that it? That's it. Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn to June 4th here.
Thank you.
Second.
Second.